You guys, I'm super excited about this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. Well, this episode. Why am I excited? First of all, I know I say that a lot, but I am very excited, and why I'm excited is I haven't had a guest on in a while, number one. Number two, I haven't posted an episode in a while, and I'm sorry for that. But we're back. We didn't go anywhere. We've just been kind of ruminating this whole time. My guest this week is the one and only Mike Szydlowski. If you don't know who Mike is, that's okay. If you don't have an IFB background, that's okay too, because we go over some crazy and wild stuff. So Mike was in college at Hyles-Anderson around the same time that I was, and we have a little bit differing experiences, but still a lot of commonalities. So if you went to Hyles-Anderson or you went to an IFB school like we did, check it out. I guarantee you're going to enjoy this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. One of the very interesting things that came out of this podcast was watching Mike's metamorphosis from the time that he got to Hyles-Anderson until the time that he exited. He came in what we would call Johnny Bible or a Bible thumper, or just very, very hardcore for the Lord. And when he left, he didn't care about any of it. Well, most of it. So if that's something that you went through, or you have a friend that went through, or just something you're curious about, check out this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. Thank you so much, all of you, for your support. It's been over a year that we've had the podcast. It's crazy to think about, but I'm super, super grateful for each and every one of you. Again, if you have questions, as always, feel free to message me. Feel free to DM the podcast page, PM, I should say, the podcast page, or just let me know. I am super, super excited for you to check out this episode of Not Your Mother's Podcast. My name's Stuart. This is my buddy Mike Szydlowski, and this is the Not Your Mother's Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Now, Mike, I'm going to put you on the spot right away. What are we drinking?
This is Korean soju. So, Korea drinks more alcohol per capita than any place else in the world.
No shit.
This is the number one alcohol.
This is
It's typically a rice. If times are a little tougher, it might be grain. It's anything.
It's grain always.
It's whatever they can distill down, whatever's the cheapest kind
Nice.
of product. This is 20%. Typically in
Yeah,
Korea, it's 13 to 15.
Oh, really?
It's like how Budweiser is like exported,
Yes.
like in Europe.
Yep.
It's a little higher
different.
percentage.
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing.
Huh.
But
Very
it'll go up
interesting.
or down depending where you get it from. But
Very cool.
this is
Well,
a Korean.
it's smooth. It has a vodka kind of taste, but it's smooth. So, and Mike brought this for the podcast.
Yeah,
so
so-
thank you very much, dude. Yes, that
Absolutely.
too. I appreciate it. Well, so I got a little bit of a backstory because super grateful for you coming. This guy drove all the way from Michigan. No, he didn't. But Mike is here all the way from Michigan,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
And didn't come just for the podcast, but I'm grateful that you made the time while you
Stuart
were out
invited
here.
me out. Said, I'm an avid listener,
I'm
watcher
a big deal.
of the podcast, and he asked me to be on, and I said absolutely.
Dude, thank you. And I appreciate it. It means a hell of a lot. And he's taking time out of his vacation. So you guys enjoy this, but it's at Mike's expense. So
It's my pleasure. Remember
It's
that Jack
oh
Schaap
my
thing?
God,
It's my pleasure.
someone said that
Never
to me
say
the
no
other-
problem. Always say my pleasure.
Always, yeah. And now I always say no problem. Just like
So can we already get off track?
Dude,
here?
do
so
it.
my whole thing the whole thing came out was, I think he went on a cruise. He went
I don't know,
somewhere.
but yeah,
And
he
so this was
made
Jack
the-
Schaap.
He probably made the story up
Yeah.
to be real, but
So the 20
Either
times
way.
he told it, it
Yes,
was different every time. So that's how you know it's.
he fucked it
So
up.
they went somewhere and he had a conversation and someone said,
Yeah, it was a
can I
waitress,
take your
I think.
bag? And
Yeah.
he said, oh, it'd be my pleasure. And he was like, oh, I like that. Why don't you say no problem? And they were like, well, if it was a problem, does that mean I wouldn't do it for you? And I was like,
Nice.
well, if you say my pleasure, if it wasn't your pleasure, would you
Then-
still do it? Which is
The
the same logic.
It's
It's
the same
just a
logic.
different verbiage.
You're just applying it differently.
Right, yeah.
But since
So-
you're Jack
but
Schaap and
it's
you
my
have-
pleasure to be here. It's all- yeah.
It's my pleasure to have you here. It would be no problem for you to be here. No, and I do that now. Like I've got friends that still say my pleasure. I'm like, fuck, don't say that
Yeah,
shit. Like,
just-
someone did it the
It's
other
all
day.
good. Just say it's all good.
It's all good. Exactly. She texted me and said, "My pleasure," and then with like laughing emojis, and I was like,
Yeah.
Then a couple days later, she said, "Thank you," and I sent her like the hand emojis. She's like, "Is that because I didn't say my pleasure?" I'm like, "Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's exactly why it is. I'm grateful." So, Mike and I didn't really know each other at Hyles-Anderson. We didn't have the
No.
same circles.
I think that's what make it interesting too.
Yeah.
Is we're
Different
the same-
perspective.
Different perspective of the same experience.
Exactly. I love that. So, so we didn't really know each other at college. We've talked a little bit on Facebook as of late, and Mike's checked out the podcast, been a supporter, which I'm grateful for. But Mike does have an IFB background, so you don't gotta give us only what you're comfortable giving us.
No,
But
yeah,
how did
absolutely.
you come to be, number one, be involved in the independent fundamental Baptist movement, and then after that, how in the world did you end up at
Hyles.
fucking hyles-anderson College?
So my story is, my family was reached through the bus ministry of Antioch Baptist Church in Warren, Michigan, which is just north of.
Can you say who the pastor was there?
George Crabb. He was not a Hyles-Anderson graduate.
Okay. Just Antioch Baptist. Did you guys send a lot of kids to Hyles-Anderson?
There was my senior year
Yeah.
that I graduated high school. I think 7 of us came.
Okay, that's why. Once you get
And there was like 1 or 2 before us, but I don't, and maybe 1 or 2 after us. But like my first year, there was a big group.
Gotcha.
Of people that came. My story was we were reached through the bus ministry of that church.
Yep.
My dad is an alcoholic, still is an alcoholic. Never kind of was in church, never really was. My mom became like super church lady. So I'm a big Simpsons fan.
Oh hell yeah.
So my family was like the Simpsons. Like my dad was Homer, my mom was like Marge, and like always wanted to be church lady, do everything.
That's terrific.
And my dad was just like,
fuck
you know, whatever, you know. And there's a whole bunch of drama with that, but
I'm sure.
So my brother, when he was young, fell off of a car and broke his arm, and my pastor showed up to the hospital, and my dad threatened his life.
No shit.
Like this was when my pastor was like first starting the church.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, and he was just like,
And
I'm
your dad
just
was
here
just
to
weirded
show
out.
up. My dad was like, who is
Who
this
the fuck is this
stranger
guy?
staying,
Yeah.
you know, coming to visit my wife and my son in the hospital?
Oh, I get it. Yeah. That makes sense now.
But eventually, so they started a Christian school. I was the first person of that school and church to go
graduate?
No, to go be in every grade. So my kindergarten year, they didn't have an elementary.
Damn.
My first year
you were the Antioch Trailblazer.
Yeah, I was the first one. There were people that graduated. My sister was 6 years older, graduated there. Yeah,
but she didn't run the full gamut.
Yeah, so I never went to a public school. Never went to a different Christian school.
Nice.
I was like kindergarten.
All
I was
the way.
a product of Antioch Baptist
Yeah.
Church. My senior year was 2001. I graduated.
Yep.
It was. I had plans going to Maranatha Baptist Bible College.
Yeah,
in
that rings
Wisconsin.
a bell. That rings a bell for sure.
My sister went there. There are other people.
Okay.
It's actually an accredited school.
Yeah.
They're actually a
How
university
nice.
now. Like they're an
Yeah.
accepted degree. They have real
I'm sure they
programs
preached
and
against them
real-
at Hyles-Anderson.
Yeah. And Jack Hyles used to preach there, like in the 60s,
No
70s,
shit.
yeah, in the 70s and 80s. Or
I feel like that Jack Hyles, just on another tangent, but I feel like the Jack Hyles of like the 60s and 70s,
Was
like he was a
different
little more chill. My dad found out about my dad went to Hyles-Anderson, and he met or found out about Jack Hyles at a Free Will Baptist Church in Newport News. I don't know if Newport News, but in Virginia. So like that. But you think about the 2000s, the 1990s, 2000s. Jack Schaap, he wouldn't have gone to anything other than an IFB church to speak. There's
that
just no
was
way.
a graduate of not only IFB, but would
Right.
have to be a graduate of his college,
exactly,
or to
yes.
be
Very
Rick Martin, or somebody who wasn't a graduate, but like was a
very
on their
affiliated.
list
He was
of-
affiliated. Yeah.
who only sent their kids to.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Sorry, I
that
got you
goes
off
back
track.
to but it goes back to the same thing happened to my church was power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolute.
Dude, yes.
So when you're
Yes.
Jack Hyles and you're starting a church and you have no controls, at first you probably meant to go out to do the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you get to a power level and everybody becomes worshiping you, whether you set up the system that way or it just happened.
Yep.
But the same thing
Either
happened
way,
in our
the
church.
result
It
is the
became a
same.
preacher worship and then it just went.
Fuck.
Yeah, it just went all to hell. But I remember growing up, like looking back at the church I grew up in, I was like, that would be a church I would want to
You go
attend
to now, yeah.
Like I don't even go to church, but that would be. But I remember maybe because I was young, and maybe because it was just
A
what
little
I
more
knew,
impressionable.
or just it just became comfortable and home. But
that was
like,
that was what you knew.
but we went through church splits, yada yada. But my senior year was the year Jack Hyles passed away.
Oh
He
yeah,
passed away in
2001.
January 01.
Was it January?
January, February 01.
Wow. All I remember about 2001, not all I remember, but 2001 I remember was 9/11
Yep.
and Jack Hyles passing. Those are
Yep.
the two things that I remember clearest.
Both of those tied. So
Oh,
9/11 happened my second day of Hyles.
Oh, that's
Or
right,
second week of school, because like it always
School had
starts
just
the Tuesday after Labor Day, I think it started.
Yeah, something like that.
So it was like the next week, 9/11 happened.
Damn.
So to go back, they were doing a youth conference up at Grace Baptist Church in Gaylord, John Jenkins
Been
Church.
there. I went to that youth conference a few times. Teens, the Ski-tacular, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And we drove up from Detroit to Gaylord, about 5-hour drive, four or five. Me and my best friend Mike, who actually went to school with me, Mike Bryant. You would have known him. He was on there for a year. He joined the Marines, and then
good for him.
Yeah, good for him. Real good. For
He
him.
joined the real Marines,
Yeah,
not
like
the fake
real-
ones.
yeah. So he used to tell me how much more sleep and how much better they took care of him I'm not joking. Like, he's like, I get 8 hours of sleep every night. I eat 3 great meals.
I have
to work out and do whatever. Boot camp was tough, but it's
not Hyles. I have talked to several people, graduates, alumnus, like me and you, that went on to be in the military, and they're like, I can't believe how great I'm treated when I compare it to hyles-anderson. Yeah.
And so
we got to tell them what we're doing here with the tradition.
Oh, so the Korean tradition, Korean drinking culture, is the youngest pours for the oldest, and then I think we did it backwards. But the youngest has to pour for everybody at the table.
Oh, okay.
So if you're the youngest at the table,
you're doing all the work.
You do everybody, and then the oldest then serves the youngest.
Oh, that's
very
cool.
Like Confucianism, like the older is always more respected, no matter what position anything.
I dig it.
Yeah.
Let's help. Don't fill my glass, then I may have some.
Woo. So my senior year, it was January. Jack Hyles had passed away. Yep. Jack Schaap has not become pastor.
He hadn't taken over. Yeah.
He agreed to do John Jenkins' youth conference.
I bet I was there, bro.
You might have been.
Because my pastor at the time, James Beller, was real tight with him. I remember going several years. Maybe not 2001 though.
So he preached Polish Shaft.
Yep.
Polish
that bitch.
Yeah. So I'm Polish, so it would be the Polish Shaft. It'd be the Polish Shaft for me. So
I love it.
But then it was that he preached that message. He wasn't pastor yet. Everybody knew he was going to be pastor.
Right. It was a given.
I kind of knew what Hyles was.
Right.
To me, it was those people are crazy. Like seriously, those people were crazy.
Nuts.
But then I heard the man speak.
Super charismatic.
Super charismatic. Like instantly want to follow that guy.
Absolutely.
And that's
He dressed well. He dressed well, and he was charismatic.
Yeah.
Like
and there's the legend of Jack Schaap that we talked about in the dorms of I saw him do this. And he runs 17 miles a day.
What's the have you watched Fight Club?
Yeah.
So it's like the Tyler Durden thing.
It's the story.
Did you hear he was born in an insane asylum? No, it's all.
So the one thing I did witness him do.
Oh God, please tell me.
So it was Vacation Bible School.
Okay.
They do he plays Mr. Jesus or Christian, Super Christian, whatever the character is. He has to beat the devil. He has to beat the devil, who was always like Roy Moffat or something.
Yeah, it was Roy Moffat.
It was always Roy Moffat. Was the devil. So it was the old auditorium, the yellow nasty yellow auditorium. They dropped a rope from the ceiling. So it's 30, 40 feet.
Yeah, that's far.
And he was Mr. Jesus, whatever, and he climbed down it.
No shit.
And the whole thing of the skit was he was going to beat the devil and just walk off stage left.
Was this when he fell?
He got
Someone
climbed. He exited, climbed all the way back up that rope.
Beast, dude.
He got to the top. They had put the tile back over.
Oh shit.
He let go and he moved the tile, grabbed, and got
in serious
hoisted, and we were 18-year-old college kids, man, this guy can preach, and then you see him do that, and you're
he was always in pretty good shape.
Yeah, this guy's I don't know the legends of the Jack Schaap stuff.
Wow, I never heard that one.
That's what I witnessed
with my own 2 eyes. Huh?
Yeah, and I was. Yeah,
I would have been pretty.
So, but he preached that sermon.
Yeah,
great. I decided then and there. I'm called to preach now.
Yes, of course.
And I went to Hyles-Anderson College, and then.
What do you think about that whole? I've never really talked about it in the podcast, so I'm glad that you brought it up. What do you think about that whole decision-making process of?
I think it's terrible.
Yeah.
You set people up.
It's manipulation.
It's manipulation. You set people up to fail because every single. I think last time you listed how many sermons you hear in a week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did. Me and John went over that.
But every one of those, you're supposed to make a life-changing decision. You have to make a change of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Or else, or else I'm not right with God. The Holy Spirit didn't speak to me.
Right.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
I need to make a life-changing decision.
What's the disconnect? What's
that
wrong
literally
with
30 minutes later, you're going to break?
Yeah, absolutely you are.
So, what's the... it doesn't make sense. You set everybody up for failure, and then you go back and you're like, oh, I'm a terrible Christian. I'm a terrible person because that decision I just made, I already broke it. I already thought that thought. I already listened to that music.
So much
went to the library and got that movie.
Yeah, exactly. For the most piddly shit in the world. Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm just thinking about that specific one, the call to preach, how much
that moment for me, or just that?
No, just that concept of here's my thing is. So I went. Did you go to teen camp at all during the summer from your church or no?
Yes, we went to teen camps, but it wasn't Salem. It wasn't.
Dude, we would go to Mount Salem. I know I've talked about it before, but Mount Salem is legendary for their invitations.
The sermon would be an hour, and the invitation would be 2.
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, that's like the steroids version. But like every other version, especially youth conference, you've been eating shitty food.
Yeah.
You haven't had any sleep.
You're tired running around your hotel with all your buddies, all like eating nothing but like Mountain Dew and Pixie Sticks. Like you're all hopped up on sugar.
You are, and then you're crashing during the sermon. You're getting yelled at because you're falling asleep. How many times did you hear Jack Schaap or whoever like, "Wake up, young man!" Like, the guy hasn't had any sleep, and he's high on sugar. Of course, he's gonna crash. But all that, I feel like when you look back, there's so many elements. It's not just, it frustrates me because I heard that term conviction so many times.
Yes.
It's not conviction, it's sleep deprivation. Yes. You're away from your family. You're tired as fuck. You've been, and the more I've dieted, I've done well. Lately I haven't done so well, but like, the more I look into what we put into our bodies and how it causes us to react.
Yeah. How you feel and what.
When you're eating, I've talked to a friend of mine about this, and I feel like we have a solid theory, and we want to bring it up on a podcast eventually. But what we eat. You think about every youth conference, every one of those. What did we eat? We had hamburgers and always pizza. You think about, and I know it's the easy thing to do.
Pizza's
it's cheap. I get it.
And they also had like the Papa John's connection. I know they.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. But my thought is, I get pizza's cheap and it can feed a bunch of people, but you think about the lack of sleep and the shit food, and that's with every single youth activity ever.
Right.
And you've got teenagers that are highly impressionable.
Yes.
And then you're forcing them to make this
so
decision.
You've watched like the Leah Remini.
Oh yes.
How much that ties into like
Yeah.
Like the youth camps these kids would go to, like they would just have to like work. And I'm like, I was part of one of those.
Yeah.
Like you don't even realize, like I didn't even realize I was part of a cult until like 10 years I was out of it.
Exactly.
I was like, man, I was
the
part
fuck?
of a
That was a
cult.
cult.
Like I don't like to tell people that. So if any of my friends who I didn't go to school with, who watch this, like
sorry guys.
Yeah, I was kind of in a cult for 10 years of my life.
100%.
And didn't even know I was in it.
That's the mind trip of all. Right. That's the mind fuck of all of it is, you don't know. Here's the thing. My process is, if you knew you were in a cult, you would get out.
Yeah,
exactly, you wouldn't be in it.
Nobody would.
We wouldn't stay if we knew it was a cult. And you think about, I don't know what kind of conversations you might have with people online, but of course I have the ones where I'm trying to tell them, like, man, like, not like, hey, you're in a cult, you're an idiot. Just like, hey, just look around and figure things out. But you can't do that. You can't acknowledge that, because once you acknowledge it, everything crumbles.
You're much more trying to help other people than I mean that in a good way. Like, you try to get people to me. Yeah. I'm just like, live and let live kind of guy. Like, it's not for me. If that's what gets your jollies off. Cool. Like, I still have friends that are still part of First Baptist, are still part of other churches.
Yep. I've got several IFB.
My best friend Matt, you know Matt. He's like
you gotta give me his last name.
That's Thistle.
Oh yeah, I know Matt Thistle.
So he's not IFB anymore, but he and I are like still. Still good friends, and we talk about like how bad, like he's
good.
He's an assistant pastor at a church, but it's not IFB at all.
I've got a lot of friends like that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off camera though.
I played Matt Thistle in at Mount Salem. I played that kick a ball.
Yeah,
I played. I remember he crossed me up pretty good. I remember playing. We had a 3-on-3 tournament one year, and I remember playing him, and he was good. Yeah. He was really good. Anyways, as a side note, but
so. I don't remember where we were.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But
that's how I So that's how I got into. I was like a shark turn my senior year.
Yeah. So it was Ski-tacular at Gaylord, Michigan.
Yeah.
Was what kind of diverted your course into.
Yeah.
Into hyles-anderson.
Into hyles-anderson, and then
Jack
within
Schaap.
6 months, we went to a youth conference that summer.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And
probably heard Polish Shaft again. You're Polish Shaft or America. You probably are one of the two of those.
Yeah. So, interesting story. My 7th grade year.
Okay.
So my church was not hyles-anderson affiliate, but then we always had like the two crazy people in our church that were like, the dude had in his basement had every sermon Jack Hyles ever preached, like on cassette tape, like had a wall. Like he would be like, look at this is last Sunday. It just came in the mail. Like,
that's crazy.
But he would always take a group to youth conference.
Right.
And I went when I was in 7th grade.
Okay.
And I remember, like, I fell asleep. It was I was in the mezzanine. I couldn't even see the pulpit.
And it was hot on the mezzanine.
It was hot.
Like, the whole building was hot anyways. Yeah.
You couldn't get seats anywhere.
Yeah.
And I just remember laying down going to sleep.
No shit.
Yeah. And I woke up. It was the weird, like, I don't know what, it's a vivid memory I have.
Yeah.
I woke up. I didn't really, there was yelling. Because Scott was preaching.
Right.
My arm was asleep because
you were laying on it.
But I remember waking up and they had the TV monitors and it was the dead babies from the America video,
how
like
did
the
that
aborted
fuck
baby,
you up? Yeah.
and like just waking up, and I was like,
shit?
where? Like, why can't I feel my arm?
Why
I
are there
drool, and I'm like, what in the
dead
world?
babies?
And that was like my only impression of like Hyles-Anderson First Baptist Church.
You still ended up there though.
I still ended up there like 7 years later. That and
That's
Jack Hyles
terrific.
stepped on my hand.
Really? Well, we have to know that story.
So we're Belleville, Michigan was
Yeah.
half-hour drive.
Mm-hmm.
So he was preaching there. I was probably 5th, 6th grade.
Yep.
And so was that, what's the name of that church?
Metro Baptist
Baptist
Church.
Church in Belleville. Bunch of people from our church like got into a van and drove out there, and the place was so packed.
Sure it was. It was Jack
It
Hyles.
was Jack Hyles.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
every church,
well,
it wasn't anybody lost.
That's
It was
also-
every church.
Yeah.
You know, interesting enough.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't anybody lost. It was every
no
church.
one was there for Jesus. They were there for Jack.
Right.
Yeah.
And he wasn't there to save the lost.
No.
He was there because every other church member
But
from
you
every
know that's
church in
Russell
that.
Anderson's home
Yes,
church as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah, so that all plays into it. Like that's
Right.
Jack and Rusty and
Yeah.
the
That whole-
man from Ypsilanti.
Yes.
As we called
The
him.
poor old Kentucky coal miner.
There was a whole. Do you remember the song?
Yeah.
There was a
they
song.
wrote a song.
Called "The Man from Ypsilanti," dude.
How about the one? What was? You're a Southern gospel guy. I was
I
not.
love Southern Gospel.
I was.
to
I
this day.
I'm now nostalgic for it.
Oh,
But I like the nostalgic, like the old Candy Cootie Woody, like
You got to get your
like cathedrals stuff?
cathedraals. Yeah, absolutely.
or like the Oak Ridge Boy. Like I'm
Or
nostalgic
maybe
for that.
super old Gold City, or is
Yeah.
that still too new?
Yeah, but
That's
then
too
it
new.
turned into like Ernie Haas
It
and
did.
whatever
yeah, that's
Signature
Ernie
Boys
yeah,
or whatever
oh
they
my
were
God,
called.
I love Ernie Haas Signature.
So anyway, so where did this whole story come from? All right, so
the Man from Ypsilanti.
oh yeah. So we were at that church,
Mhm.
and they're so busy, it was so packed. They told all the like elementary school age kids,
Right.
like junior high, come sit on the platform to make room in the pews for more people.
Nice.
So I was sat.
You were up there with the big guns.
I was sat behind him, and I was like sitting on, like I didn't know. I was
Yeah,
just
well,
my mom took me. She was
exactly.
like, "Hey, we're gonna go here to this." She was kind of
She was-
influenced by the
yeah.
Hyles-Anderson or the Hyles stuff,
Mhm.
and so I was sitting there, and he was preaching, and he stepped back because he would walk around with the and like the jowls always. That's what always struck me was like the jowls would move,
Jowls were a lot.
and
The
like he stepped
jowls-
on me, and I like jumped, and he like, "Oh!" So I was like, "That was
That's
my,
a vivid memory,
yeah,
though.
That's my Jack. That's my
I-
only Jack Hyles interaction."
I have one, and I'm trying to remember. I remember we met him somewhere. It was me and my sister, and we were having a little quabble during the service. We were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, maybe. And
Like
I don't
hitting
remember.
each other, like
yeah,
push-
some
yeah.
shit like that. You know, it was sibling rivalry, and we went up afterwards, and we were continuing. We were still being little assholes to each other, and Jack, I remember vividly, Hyles got down with us, and like we were on the steps or whatever. So like he got down to eye level, and he said something like, you know, I want you to give me a hug or a kiss on the cheek, something like that to my sister, and then to me the same. And then he moved and bonked our heads together like kiss and make up kind of thing. And I was even more pissed.
Right.
I remember like, fuck this guy. Like, I didn't say fucking 5 years old, but you know, it was just kind of like that's the only thing I really remember. And then of course I went to all the youth conferences and things, but personal interaction with him, that was the only thing I ever remember. That and I mean, I was there for his funeral. I remember that very well. I remember hearing Jeff Owens speak, and I'm sure Jack Schaap spoke as well. But I remember hearing Jeff Owens speak at his funeral.
Yeah,
that was intense. Were you there for the
I
funeral?
did not go. Funeral was never
because it wasn't.
I was still outside at that point. I was not.
Yeah, 2001.
I was like, oh,
right.
somebody.
We
died.
drove from Missouri. Yeah,
Yeah.
we drove all the way there for that.
I know people who
Shitload of
still
people.
cry when they hear bagpipes of Amazing Grace. 'cause
You're shitting me.
They're like, every time I hear it, I think of Jack.
And
Jack
that's
Hyles
not
died.
man worship.
Right.
That's man worship on
Yes.
every level. Fuck that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how Mike got stuck in the IFB. It's all Jack Schaap's fault.
It's all
Everyone,
Jack
just
Schaap.
just know that it's all Jack's fault. One of the Jacks. It's always their fault. So you got to Hyles. So I got to Hyles-Anderson in 2004. Graduated in 08.
Yes.
And you got there.
I was there 01.
From 01 to
and I was
06?
there, I think 06, maybe
Okay.
07.
Okay.
I was expelled, or asked to leave twice. I was expelled once, asked to leave once.
Can you walk us through those?
You don't
We can
have
get
to them later.
Okay, totally.
I'd like to get through.
Let's go through this
So
first.
my experience, we
Yeah.
were talking, is I made like the whole spectrum. I came
Yeah.
in and I was.
You were gung ho, right?
I was Johnny. I was Johnny
Johnny Bible,
Hyles-Anderson.
yeah.
Man. Like it was. That was my.
So I gotta just pause for a minute though, because by the time I got there,
Yes.
you were not.
No,
that.
I was
And-
making fun of the guy that I
Right.
was.
And what I think is funny is probably most of the people that are gonna watch this. I think there will be a few that are from your era, but most of them might be from
most of them
when
knew and probably did not know me.
Right, or either what they knew of you was not Johnny Bible. So I want you to talk about that a little bit, because that to me, when you told me that earlier, I was like, nah, bullshit, man. There's no way. So, Mike Szydlowski, preacher boy, I don't see it.
Yes. Which is interesting because, anyway.
That's all.
So
Go.
my first year was 2001. It was September 11th happened.
Yeah.
And my first week,
mm-hmm.
I took 21 credit hours both semesters.
Baller.
My first year.
Damn.
And passed them. I had A's and B's. Never had any demerits. Never had any offenses were a thing, but offenses were legit still.
Okay.
So I'll get to that in a second. How they became just stupid.
They were.
It became a competition for me. I wanted to be. I called it. I was like, hey, I'm leading the league. Like I was like Mike Trout in my batting average. Like
that's awesome, bro.
Like I wanted to be at the top of the league.
Yeah.
And like called them on their bluff. Because that's what it was. So that's what it turned into.
Yeah.
But
it did. It was a joke.
I joined Division 1 bus ministry.
Yep. Who's a division leader in Division
John
1?
Francis.
Oh boy. Okay.
So John Francis also he was my bus captain.
Damn.
So I got me and John Francis and one-on-one with John Francis a lot.
Holy
like
shit.
Me watching John Francis lead a program and do the.
I'm almost envious.
Yeah, it was to me at the time. I was like, that guy's sitting.
Badass.
That guy's sitting on the platform tonight at church, and I get to watch him.
That's dope. That's
ride
a cool
it,
feeling.
Do his bus. And
dude.
That's what he was known for. Was
he's Mr. Bus Ministry.
Yeah, he was Mr.
There's
Bus Ministry.
Ray Young before him, and then there's John Francis,
right.
And that's it. Yeah, absolutely.
And so here's a good story with John. Like, I never had a problem with John Francis. Like, I really liked him. I don't talk to him. I haven't heard from him.
I don't think I ever had much of any interaction with John Francis, but like for me, it was coming out of everything. Like I understand. Like I look at him as like a huge instigator for everything. But I never had any run-ins with him that were unpleasant at all.
He would, like you say, instigator.
Yeah.
He would not do anything. He would get us fired up. And we would be his little minions.
Yep.
Not like, and I don't mean it like he was doing it on purpose.
Right.
Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't.
Right.
We were just like,
well, he's pretty charismatic himself.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're going to go,
we're going to the extra mile.
He went and preached against people who didn't ride night bus. So we came home from night bus and would knock on his door and be like, hey, man.
You would do that shit?
Hey, man, why weren't you on night bus, man?
You would do that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Mike Szydlowski would do that shit.
And go wake up people.
That is so hard for me to believe.
Yes. I was night bus. Every week I was night bus. Never made bus captain.
No, me neither.
Never made.
I was
never
hardcore. When I got there, it was real hardcore, and I did not make bus captain. I remember that.
John Francis pulled me into his office, and he's like, "I see potential in you. I want to make you like." This was my freshman year.
Damn.
Like, I don't know, probably 6 months in, maybe
Nice. So
he's like, "I want to make you a bus captain." He's like, "I see potential in you." He's like, "But I need you on my route, right now."
Gotta groom you.
Yeah, but I see plans for you. I was like, "Oh my god!" And like that, never heard anything else ever.
No shit.
Yeah, never. So joined Division 1 bus route.
Yep.
North side.
Yep.
Go out, like do the 3 meetings all day, like them in the morning, meeting.
Yep.
Sing all the bus songs with the lady workers.
We had 3 meetings. So we had 3 meetings because everyone together, and then you had your division leader meeting. No. You had your division meeting, and then you had your bus captain's meeting, right? And you were in the bus captain's meeting?
I was not in the bus captain's meeting.
Okay.
So I was out in the hall during that point.
Yep.
I was like the section leader.
Okay, yeah.
So I was getting my lady workers and be like, hey, this is what we're going to do while they're doing their...
You got to draw the fucking sign.
Yep.
Who did I have on? John Bannister told me about stealing signs one Sunday.
Oh.
During Big Day.
Like, took them all off?
He went and stole everyone. No, just stole them. I was like, that's the funniest thing ever.
So,
like, I'm sure I would have hated you in that moment. My lady worker was up late working on that shit. But man, that's funny.
That poor girl, whoever did do it. Like,
yeah, I know.
So if I ever offended you, it wasn't on purpose. If I've done a lot of shit while I was there at school, and we'll get to that that I have pulled.
I ask people when people tell me they remember me from college. I ask them, was it before or after tour? Because that's the like, was I a dick or was I not? Was it before or after tour? After tour, I hope you didn't know me.
Yeah.
But if you knew me before tour, okay, cool.
I was friends with everybody, but I kind of like. So my 2 best friends, like Matt, left school, went to Capaces. He graduated from Capaces College. So after
Champion, right?
Champion.
Yeah.
So after he left, I had like no friends.
Fuck.
I kind of like. I was dating somebody at the time, but I wasn't like. But I was like.
You didn't have like homies.
I didn't have like a group of friends, and I kind of just bounced around in everybody else's group.
Okay, gotcha.
Which is
you were the odd man out. That sucks.
It was kind of odd man out, but I was also that's where I called myself. I was like Van Wilder. Like I didn't have a crew.
Right.
But I had been there forever.
Right.
Everybody knew me. And I don't mean it like I'm not egotistical at all. I'm saying like
I know
everyone knew who I was. They're like, oh, this is my friend. You know, we did the activity stuff. We did the plays. We did, my face was just out there.
I remember that very well.
Yes,
and you were involved in everything.
Right.
Well, let's go back. I know we're
jumping.
I know. Don't be, dude. Those are the best conversations is when we just get off track. I love it. But that's why we write a couple things down. So when you got there, you were Johnny Bible. Walk me through that just a little bit more. Like you were hardcore
class, chapel class, chapel
Damn.
class. Like I was that. I went to I booked. So I did 21 credits, which is all 5 days.
Full. Yeah.
All 5 days,
every
4
hour.
classes.
Yeah.
Like I did not have an off period.
Damn.
I was taking like freshman or I was a freshman taking like junior senior stuff.
Really?
Like just because I had an open class, I was like I had an elective. Like oh cool, I'm gonna take Christ in the Old Testament with Blackwell. Black.
I don't know who that is. Must have been gone when I got there.
Troy Blackwell.
That name sounds familiar.
He was like a military, like a Marine. And he said the saddest day of his life was the day Jack Hyles passed away. It was like
we gotta talk about this.
Things
really
like
quick.
that, yeah.
Their utter infatuation with militaristic things is fucking nuts to me. I think it's crazy, and I think it's crazy because you got Tom Vogel, and who else you got that was actually military?
Chris
Teft. But you think about those guys.
Hyles was
paratrooper. I
don't know how much.
Exactly.
Well, it's like the L. Ron Hubbard stuff. Like they make him out to be this military hero, but it's like you look at it like what did he do?
Just rode around on a ship and wrote fiction all day.
Right.
But again, Hyles. I'm not saying he wasn't a paratrooper. He has a picture. That doesn't mean shit. By the way, Jack Hyles never met Elvis. That story is complete bullshit.
Right.
There's no fucking way. Also, it's just funny to me that so we named them right, Vogel and Teft. Now look. Teft had fun with it. He had a lot of funny stories. That guy's fucking hilarious to this day. Vogel had a book, but these guys weren't the guys that were all up in arms about military shit.
No.
It was fucking guys like Ray Young.
Yes.
My father was...
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying who gives a shit.
No. Like, it's important to,
but
I also feel like it's it's a strained father-son relationship.
Yes.
That he is trying to...
He's trying to fix
that. I bet you his dad thinks he's a little crazy for going... Because they're not, like...
Listen, I was listening to... And I think I said it on here before, but I was listening to a sermon from him from maybe a year or two ago, and he talked... Do you remember he would do those Europe trips where he would take... He would take you to where his dad fought and the concentration camps and shit like that. So some of it, like, I can get with, like, some of it makes sense. He said... We will take you, or we go to the exact foxhole where my dad took cover in the Battle of the Bulge.
Yeah.
I don't buy that shit.
Right.
Number one, the land has shifted. Number two, if you're in the Battle of the Bulge, you're not going to be like, there.
Right
when I was getting shot in the face,
this little
that
hump
hole
is ground is where we,
Yeah, I did a little bit of research, not much, but I did a little bit of research. Part of his story is that my dad slept on a parachute the first night there. No one parachuted into the Battle of the Bulge. If you were airborne, if you were whatever you were,
you got landed.
Shipped, you were landed. You got driven there. I'm not just talking. I didn't just watch Band of Brothers.
You landed at Normandy,
right?
And then your unit
went that far. But there were no parachutes there.
Interesting.
So there's that. I have a whole theory on it. I'm gonna throw it out real quick right now. My theory is that Ray's dad was, and it's fine. I'm not saying it's less of a person. You were there. You did the work, man. Props to you. He was a cook.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It was something like that, and he was there when the shit went down, and maybe he grabbed a gun or something. But here's why I think that he's a cooker. He was not actually fighting front line, because Ray tells a story about finding out that there's a reunion for all the guys, and this is Ray's thing and his dad's thing. Like, they're all about it. I feel like he says his dad was airborne or paratrooper, something like that. And so he's all about it, and his dad's all about it until there's a reunion where he's going to see all the other guys from his unit. And then his dad says, I don't want to go.
Really?
And Ray goes in his place. And Ray has a whole fucking hilarious story about... It's not hilarious, but to me it is, because, like, he goes through 2 or 3 different, like, posts of guys like, oh, no, you weren't this unit, this, whatever. And he's there on behalf of his dad. Like, it's just weird. Bring your dad with you. But to me, the whole thing is, it's funny the way he tells the story, but to me what's really telling is all this hullabaloo about this military shit until it's time to see all the guys you served with, and then you don't want to go.
Right.
And this is not meant to be
I know what you mean.
this isn't mean. I've got plenty of friends, family as well, that have done their time in the military. I'm not speaking against the military or anyone that's done their time. I'm just saying that shit doesn't add up.
Right.
I'm not saying.
So I remember him telling a story that his dad, he was like replacement. Like he was.
Yes. He was a replacement.
Because he tied that into a. He
illustration.
Preached. He tied that into as the first. It was the first chapel, like of the new January semester.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And he told the story about how his father fought.
Right.
And like I think he was telling the story. He went to that reunion.
Yes.
And he went to the guy. And he was like, "Oh, your dad was there on this day." And he's
Yeah.
like, "No, he wasn't there for that day." And he's like, "Huh? Was your dad here for this day?" And he's like, "No, he wasn't there for that day." Huh? You know. And he went
and
to
they
like
go through 3 different guys, and the last one.
And the
was
last
like,
guy was like, "Hey, I was there.
We were
and your
so
dad
glad
showed
to
up,
have-
and then we were so spread thin that they finally got not replacements, but like reinforcements. Reinforcements in, and I'm glad your dad was there because that helped us to win. You know, and that was his sermon tie-in was like, "No, you weren't here, and you came late in the semester, but." But
we're so glad to have you.
Yeah, you missed the big day. You missed the, we had 9 million in church and 53,000 were baptized last week.
Exactly.
You might not have been part of that, but I'm glad you're here. It was
now.
a good, to me, it was a good tie-in.
It was.
But it doesn't work with his whole
the story doesn't add up. And then the thing that bugs me about these guys is they'll use that. The problem for me with Ray is he ties that in like it's a personal illustration of his own. The guy gets teared up telling the story, and it's like, bro. And then you get teared up with your illustration, and then you get teared up. I don't know. The theatrics are incredible. Yes. To me. Anyways, I'm way off course.
No. So other thing they do military.
Yes.
But
you remember
but if you left and joined the military, you're not right with God.
You're dead to them.
Why would you do that? Why would you give your life to the government, not to Jesus?
But they're so militaristic anyway.
Yes.
You basically pushed me into it.
And they call it the West Point of fundamentalism. Like they name it.
Yes. That's what I've been calling it the boot camp. It was the West Point. That's what they called it.
West Point of fundamentalism.
You're right.
You needed to do so that they put Cassida too. Cassida was military.
God. I feel like you have a story about Cassida. He held us hostage once.
Oh yeah. Let me get to that. So no, I was gonna say the other thing they do is like the Pete Cowlings. If you have a degree from Devil State or St. U, you're nothing. But Pete Cowling is a shit. He is a doctor. Hats off. Like, listen to this man. He has a degree from a real school. But if you went and got that degree from that real school...
If you left Hyles-Anderson... or
how are you not a lesbian already? Like, if you went to Purdue Calumet while you were there... Like,
yeah. Fuck you for that.
Right.
Exactly.
But if you have that... Like, there was a teacher at HB that like went to Duke or something. Which is a pretty...
Yeah, no, that's reputable.
Hell yeah. To go to... Accepted at Duke.
Just to get in.
Graduate Duke. And that was like... And he deserves honor that goes with that.
Absolutely.
But don't rub it in my face that every time this guy stands up to preach, he went to Tennessee and he was...
I went to Tennessee or I got
but I'm strong enough to make it through. You would never be able to do... You know what I mean? Like
it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
So the Cassida story was... We were in church ed. And church ed is a big class in the auditorium.
Yeah, it's pretty much everyone.
500 guys probably?
When we were there, Yeah,
500 guys probably in the auditorium. And Ted Spear took over. He became that's where a lot of people didn't like John Francis. John Francis did Ted Spear's job of setting up church ed before late 90s.
So John was there. What do you mean setting up? Like at the beginning of the class?
The class. He was like the administrator of the class.
Okay,
and
yes.
So he had to get into it with students because he was the same reason we didn't like Ted Spear.
Right.
Like no offense to we just didn't like him because he was like this little dude. Like, who's the guy back there that does that? So. He's kicking off class.
I'm short as fuck.
Yeah.
But I will say at times I have short man syndrome, but Ted had it intense.
And he had the big, the glasses.
Goggles, dude.
So he was kicking off church ed.
Okay.
And there was something going on in the back of the class.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey, who was that back there? All right, keep it down." And just went on like a normal human being would do.
Right.
And just you're a bunch of testosterone 20-year-olds in a room who are waiting to go eat.
And we're not allowed to ever have sex.
Yes.
So we're kind of a mess.
So, and then Mr. Cassida, Brian Cassida was like the class teacher.
Okay, he was the teacher.
He was the one doing the lesson that day. And he came up and he was like, "Hey, at the beginning, Mr. Spear said he wanted to know who was talking. So who was it back there?" And no one was silent.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And he was like, "We're going to sit here in silence. I'm going to stand here until somebody admits that they were talking."
No shit.
He's like, "And you think we're leaving at 1 o'clock to go to work? I'm keeping you here until..."
Oh my god. So what am I going to tell my fucking boss?
Right. So we're all just sitting in this room in silence, and every 5 minutes someone would raise their hand, and he was like, "Yes," and probably the first 30 minutes of it. Like every 5 minutes would be like, I don't know who made the noise, but whatever your punishment you're giving them, just give it to me so we can get on with it.
Damn.
Like, and he's
sacrificial lamb.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, oh,
no,
that's not what I want. Like, I appreciate your Christianity, but
an ego.
I appreciate you doing what Jesus would have done, being the sacrificial lamb, but that's not what I want.
But fuck off.
Yeah. So,
bro.
And then it would be like, I heard the noise. Like one guy, there was a noise that came. It was to my. It literally got to be like one guy, whoever made the noise, and the guy to his right was like, it came to my right, and the guy to the left was like, it came to my left, but I'm not sure who. And the guy's in the middle.
Fuck.
And they're like, was it you? And he's like, no. I was
like, not.
So then it was like 15 minutes after class, and some dude, he's like, I've got to be at work, and I've already missed lunch.
Oh shit.
He's like, one of you guys better stand up, and and then it became like the class turned against Cassida. Because it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, dude, what the fuck?
Right. And then it was
guys
like,
really sat there for 50 minutes.
It was more. It was like an hour 10, hour 50. Like it went after. And like people were coming in to like, oh, I got to do our tour practice and like use the auditorium.
They walked in,
and he was like, no, get out. Like it became this whole like ego.
Oh my god!
And nobody.
Do you remember what year this was? Is this when you first got there?
No. This is when I started not giving a shit. Like
maybe
this is third or fourth.
How do I not
my
remember?
third or fourth year, maybe.
But you as a freshman, you have church ed, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow, I don't remember that. That
and
sucks.
then nothing ever came. Like nobody ever.
Really, no one fessed up.
Nobody ever.
He just kind of let you guys go or whatever.
Yeah, he was like, I guess just go. Well, yeah.
What a
and
bitch.
I was like, all that, and I was like,
all that and nothing.
We never even found anything out. Like, it was just a waste of my life.
Dude, that's amazing. But that goes to show you when else would you encounter something like that in your life? You just wouldn't. I'm not saying you wouldn't ever at all, but like as in a ministry-based school, that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense whatsoever. You're a fucking egomaniac, and you're being a fucking baby. I didn't get my way, so you're all gonna sit and wait for me.
Right, and now we have to sit there and just teach the class. Just teach me something. For God's sakes, just teach me something. Do
you remember when? And I don't have anything against him that I know of until someone tells me, which will probably happen soon. But Daryl Moore, I just think he just wasn't prepared some days. He'd be like, all right, who's got a sermon? Get up and preach. You remember that at all?
Yeah.
Do you remember if you were in school with Steven Anderson?
Steven Anderson.
So Steven Anderson is a crazy man.
I know, he's got
no, he didn't teach.
He's got the map of the world behind him when he preaches?
Yes.
Yeah, he looks like
crazy dude.
He looks like Matthew, who's the guy that was on Lost?
Oh, he does look like him.
What's that guy's name?
I don't know. Fox. Isn't it?
Fox?
I think it's Matthew Fox.
He looks just like that. Like, he's a nice-looking guy.
The short haircut.
Like, but he's
nuts.
very hot. Yeah.
Nuts.
I didn't know he went to school there.
Bro, he went to school when I was there.
Oh, I didn't know
He was in school when you were there then, because it would have been between 04 and 06 is when he would have been there.
Really? Was he married and older?
Yes, he was married and off campus.
Were you there when, like, evening college was a thing?
No.
Oh, I was there when evening college was a thing.
No shit,
that was
still?
weird.
What was that? You didn't go to it,
No.
But you probably saw them coming and going.
Yes. Oh, but Jack Schaap shut that down. And that...
Really?
I know... Like, just being there, I know Jeff Owens, Jack Schaap, and Daryl Moore did not get along.
No shit.
There's no way they did.
Well, I mean, they're all, again,
they're all pining for that job.
To run night college?
No, to run First Baptist.
Oh,
when Jack Hyles passed.
Oh, for sure. Well, honestly,
like,
there were people that thought it was Jack. I thought it was Jeff. I was a huge Jeff Owens fan as a child, and so like I knew it was going to be Jeff Owens.
Right.
And then we didn't get it. Like I was legit pissed for Jeff. I was like, who's this fucking Jack Schaap guy?
Right. Like I knew Jeff Owens before I knew of Jack Schaap.
I probably the same. Yeah.
But Daryl Moore.
Jeff's a scary guy.
Yeah, he's got those creepy eyebrows.
Those eyes and the eyes too.
Yeah,
the eyebrows, but the eyes too. That guy would pierce. But Jeff could look through you.
Yeah. And so Daryl Moore. He came up in chapel one day, like he was preaching chapel, and he was just like, everybody bow your head, close your eyes.
Did he start the message with that?
No, and he was like, who right now, by raise of hand, you can say you are 100% right with God? Let me see your hand. And he's like, I don't see any hands. I don't need to preach a sermon. You know what's... So, and then he had a piano player come up and do an altar call, and he didn't have a sermon.
How fucking weird is that shit?
I was like, that is the genius! Like... Oh shit! I gotta preach today.
I'm just gonna convict you all.
All right. Here we go. Like, all right, guys.
That's fucking.
I got some. I'll one up you. I'll one up. Like Jack Schaap or Jack Hyles had the wordless sermon. He had the sermonless sermon.
Yes. That's fucking genius, dude. Well, he would. That's so funny. He would do that in church ed, and he'd have guys preach, and I knew it was because he wasn't fucking ready,
right.
or just didn't. Either that, or didn't want to, and I wouldn't want to either.
We just
I
want to have fun. Like, to me, it's just like,
just fuck around, man.
These dumbasses are all sitting here. I'm just whatever.
Stuart and Anderson got up, and I've probably talked about it before. He preached against the Lion King. He preached against.
Why don't I not remember that? Like, well, I always thought he looked familiar, but I always thought because he looked like what's his name, like the actor.
Yeah, no, it's not that. It's because he went to college with us.
Oh man,
this guy preached, and here's the thing: I remember being somewhat conflicted because as a child, The Lion King was off limits for me. Number one, it was Disney and it was new.
Oh, so you were like that, like Disney?
Yeah, no, nothing. Old Disney, old Kurt Russell shit.
Yeah,
is that Kurt Russell? Like
his
old
dad,
Disney shit.
Is it Kurt Russell?
I think it's
Kurt Douglas.
Well, no, I'm thinking Kurt Russell is man. I'm trying to think. I mean, he's in a lot of shit. He's in the new Guardians movie too.
Yeah.
But like he's in a bunch of old Disney movies.
Oh, but like Michael Douglas's dad was Kurt Douglas.
Kurt Douglas.
He was
we
like
watched
in
20,000
Leagues. 20,000
We
Leagues
watched
and all
that. By the way, I'm
Whale
still waiting for them.
to tell you. Like,
yes,
yeah.
I love that character. Ned Land. I love that character. But we weren't allowed to watch newer movies. And so I remember it wasn't just newer; it was also because. Are you wanting some as well?
No,
Yes.
I wouldn't pour it.
All right. The Timon and Pumbaa were gay, and so that's why we couldn't watch it. They weren't.
No,
I mean, but like that was their reasoning. Also, Elton John, who is very much gay.
He's
like,
gay? Oh.
Yeah. What do you know? I don't know. The scarves are kind of a giveaway. But like all that combined was like, well, yeah, you can't watch it. And of course, Little Mermaid, all that. But so I remember being kind of conflicted when he's preaching, like, yeah, Lion King's bad, and then the audience, like, because we were '90s kids, like the audience was like, no, like Lion King's not bad, and people people are standing there on their pews yelling, Mufasa!
I don't remember that.
So maybe he was there after you left.
Oh, you know who else was military? Was Cruz. Ted Cruz.
No, not Ted Cruz.
No,
that's the politician.
No, you're right.
Cruz.
Cruz. He did the
name. I know the name.
He did the mailboxes.
Oh yeah, Paul Cruz. Paul Cruz. It's Paul for sure.
So that dude was hilarious.
Was he really?
He was weird, creepy old guy.
So he's a funny dude.
He used to be over Rice before Tutton when I first came. So he was over the Rice dormitories when I first came, and like he got demoted into like the post office.
I wonder how that happened.
Well, he would do the morning.
He got demoted because John Tutton was raised.
Yeah, you got to move up the family line.
Exactly.
You got no family ties.
Exactly.
So
fuck you.
Yeah. So he preached. He did the morning deep. This is my freshman year.
Hang on. Paul did devotions
in the morning devotions because he was the dorm leader.
Holy shit! I never knew that.
He would do.
Paul's so quiet.
He was so funny. Like
really.
This was like this. I was Johnny Bible at the time, and I was like, did he just say that? No, like did he just say that? So he was told the story.
Terrific.
So the sermon illustration was like the old Netherlands.
Yeah.
Where they had the dam up.
Yep.
And there's a hole.
The kid plugged the hole. Yeah.
He saved the city.
Yeah.
And all this. So he's like the whole sermon. This is great.
I can't wait.
He says, he's like, all it takes is for one man to plug the dike to save the seaman.
He did not.
He said it just takes one man to plug the dike to save the seaman. That was like his whole sermon. And like I'm sitting like,
hang on.
Did and then he like just that was like his
and then he bounced.
But then remember the movie The Jackal? It was a Bruce Willis movie.
Okay.
He was like he's like an assassin.
Okay.
It was like based on a true story that was a book.
Gotcha.
And he had read the book. And he was saying how like...
Was he giving like illustrations for the movie?
Yes! It was from the book. And he was
That's terrific.
But the whole thing was how the Jackal, he was like an assassin. He would become a persona and a character to get into places.
Gotcha.
And he was like, now someone's probably doing that in your life. Your mom could be the Jackal. Your roommate's the Jackal. Like it was like.
Did you guys? And then did you guys? Was it the rest of the week? It was the Jackal. Like you guys were shitting on each other. Yeah. You're the fucking Jackal.
Your mother's the Jackal. Like saying stuff like that.
Now
that's the Jackal.
Those are fun memories of.
And like looking back at the time, I was like, this guy's crazy. But then I was like. He was just having fun.
Yeah, he was like,
he's a bunch of stupid kids, and
I'll say whatever I want.
Yeah, nobody's ever gonna hear this.
I do remember that. Now that you say it, not that specific one, but I remember I had a lot. Not my freshman year, because I was same as you, Johnny Bible. But I remember, getting more into it, and then like not necessarily thinking that. I don't think I ever consciously thought like, oh, chapel's a joke or this is a joke, but there was just so much of it that sometimes it overflowed and you were like, you know what,
this is dumb.
I have to make fun of that. It's just too easy.
So have you had any sermons preached against you at school?
I didn't. I now at this point in my life, I'm sure I'm an illustration many times over. But then no,
I was twice.
Oh, well, lay it on me, please.
One was Tom Vogel.
Really?
And
Tommy boy.
Man, what was the other one? I'll think of it in a second.
Okay,
so the
but
Tom Vogel.
so
this was the point, my end of my schooling. I would always sit in the back of chapel.
Yeah.
And it was me
and sorry,
friends.
Sorry, I have to pause you for a second. Remember that thought, please. And I'm sure I've said this before on here, but I just have to share it again. As a freshman, I always sat with Charles Osgood was my bus captain. Yes. I always sat with our bus route. That was how hardcore we were. Our bus route. So did you sit together? Same?
It's funny, like what they preach about is true. Like when I was Johnny Bible, I was fighting for that fourth row behind staff and faculty. And slowly moved back to underneath in the shadow of under the clock.
And what was it? The 5%? Is that what they called them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I did the same thing eventually, but I was sitting with a bus route, setting up close. One day, I didn't make it in time or whatever, didn't get there. I got to chapel late, so I had to sit right in front of you guys.
Okay.
Whoever, it was you. I know it was either you or those guys.
My group of friends.
Tim Jones, everybody else. And I'm not calling Tim out. I'm just saying. And I'm used to, the pastor comes out, whoever comes out, amen, hallelujah. In front of you guys, fuck, shit, motherfucker. I was like, what is happening right now?
So we would.
Shit myself.
So we would. I don't remember cussing. I'm not saying
it was you. I'm just saying I remember vividly hearing.
I remember I would sing the church songs as Kurt Cobain, like doing like the Kurt Cobain like sing how like the high scratchy like we're singing angry like get out of me like singing
just screaming it.
And people just like looking at
the fuck
I'm like what
this guy.
So
I'm in the spirit right now.
So we were sitting. My thing was everybody clapped for everything.
Yes.
So me and Tim and Matt and Brian were always like we were like.
Hey, fucking clap for all.
No, we're gonna boo.
Oh,
like everybody claps. You know what I mean? So like people get up to sing, and I just be in the back going boo, boo.
Did you never get in trouble for that?
So
here we go.
So then Tom Vogel gets up and preaches a sermon about his experience in Vietnam, and the whole 90 minutes is his story. Like he's never opened the Bible, never. He might have read a verse at the beginning.
Fucking commies and shit.
And he's like, we dug ourselves a foxhole, and they came around and. Then I put that guy down, but my best friend died. Like telling about all his friends that died. The last sentence of the sermon.
And Mike Szydlowski.
He didn't mention my name, but he said, and I think about all the sacrifices that people made so that you could have a college like this, and people come up to sing, and I see a kid in the back going like this.
Oh shit!
Going like this. And then he went back to it and sat down, and I was like. Oh fuck! And like everyone, I remember the whole section looked at me. I just but my.
That's terrific.
Oh, good one.
That hurts.
It's a good one, man.
You got me, Tom.
Yeah. God, I've never even talked to the guy. I had no interaction, and I was
he just knew you were the guy.
He just called me out, and everybody knew I was the guy who was just booing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I never had any chapel sermons preaching, but I remember the chapel antics, and I remember at the beginning I wasn't a part of any of that. But then once I got more into
the antics of us having fun, or trying to screw stuff up and
all of it, just trying to fuck with the flow of everything, like you said, everyone's clapping, so I'm gonna boo,
right?
Or just did you remember all the dumb moves, like when everyone's getting worked up on a song or a lot of amens during a sermon, you'd have guys do the Todd, they'd always
the high five,
they had those huge Bibles, they'd do the Bible slap. Nick Coates had one. Nick was my bass on tour. I love Nick to this day. Nick would get a pocket full of heaven, I think is what he called it. Nick would stand up.
That sounds dirty. Hey kids, want a pocket full of heaven?
I got him in my van. He would stand up, standing up, and no one else is standing up. Nick reaches up into the air, opens his suit, sticks it in, pulls it close,
and sits down. So the stuff, it was never but I remember my first year.
Yeah.
There would be there'd be the song, and they would encourage it on the stage.
But it would be
guys would have these whole choreographed moves.
Yes, the whole row.
But it would be people in the. So one time, two guys in the front stood up, and two guys in the back, or one guy stood up in the back like he was pitching a baseball. And the other guy the guy up front was the catcher with a batter, and the guy threw it. And the guy swung it up. One time they did bowling. A group of guys stood up in front. And a guy at the back stood up on the pew and rolled a ball, and they all fell down, and one guy was wobbling and then fell over.
Dude, that's fucking awesome.
And I remember this was I was Johnny Bible, and I was like, that's not what this. That's not what this song is about.
then
All they did was change chord, go a cappella. They because there's always the things that make people go
Yes,
amen.
there was. Yep.
You had to tie in the old faithful song.
You did.
Like the old, like you switched to Amazing Grace or Old Rugged Cross.
Yes. Oh yeah. Throw in that chorus at the end.
Like you're singing a Southern gospel song, and then you just throw in like
Amazing
and everyone's
Grace.
like, ah!
Oh my God, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Or you went a cappella.
Yep.
Or you
like
changed
the
key.
chord change.
You did a key change.
You go up. You step up.
Yeah.
Yeah. People lose their shit.
Yeah. That was the.
That was the trigger. Yeah. That's what set everyone off. Well, speaking of that, then. I do very much remember you being in like every fucking skit.
Yeah,
every
that's my legacy.
I know the plays, the skits, all of that. So, were you fairly close with Anthony Collins, and what was your role there with the athletics,
Anthony Collins?
Activities?
Yeah, so Anthony Collins and Bailey. Mr.
Andrew
Bailey.
Bailey,
Andrew
yeah.
Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Were like my two guys. Dan Wolf was.
Yeah, of
I was
course,
pretty
Dan,
close
yeah,
with him.
yeah.
We'd always get mad at Dan Wolf because I think Anthony, if you ever watch this, you'll agree with me. Everybody else would collaborate. Everybody else would collaborate and like write the stuff, and Dan Wolf would always slap it written by Dan Wolf.
Oh, because he was the Dan Wolf, Bill McSpadden. He's the original, so he wants the credit. That's funny.
Long story short, is like Bill McSpadden was the genius. Oh, like he wrote all the stuff, and Dan Wolf like put his name with it. Like, cause Dan Wolf, I never thought. I'm sorry, Mr. Wolf, if you ever watched this.
I don't think he's gonna watch it.
Yeah. I got a good story. So
I want to hear it.
So he would also. Mr. Collins and I got along pretty well. Like I never had. I worked for him.
Yeah.
So he was cool because.
I'm gonna tell you why. I didn't like Anthony.
I know why people didn't like, because you don't want to talk about little guy syndrome. He was very...
Not even that. I didn't like him because once you go on tour, you get into that stupid mindset, that team mentality of your group is the shit, and the other groups suck.
Oh, he was the other group?
He was the Highlander singing man. That year they got to make their own CD.
You were a son of a prophet?
I was.
You were an SOP?
This guy knows I'm an SOP, son.
An SOP. Oh,
but they got to make.
I probably booed you when you sang.
I'm sure you did. Fuck yeah! I applaud you for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were Highlander singing men, and so like he was their guy, and Scott. I mean, I don't think Scott would ever see this, but Scott Gray was pissed at him often.
Really?
Well, because they got everything, whatever they wanted, they got.
He was the guy who did tour.
Right, because Anthony ran tour, and so whatever they wanted, whatever Noosh Prenter, like all that, they got all the hookups, and we were just kind of like, you guys go to the Midwest, enjoy your casserole.
So I got my own. So my classes. So I was going to class all day, or going to class all day. So my freshman year, I did.
You actually went to class.
I actually did all my stuff. My
classes.
second year,
that's all it took.
I don't know what it was. I went home for the summer. That's what it was. The devil got me.
Yeah.
I went home. Never go home for the summer.
No, never.
So my second
year,
year,
bus captain instead.
I didn't pass a single. I overslept all my classes.
A single class?
I don't think I passed a single class.
Either semester.
First and second.
That's got to be a record, bro.
Oh, that's just my rookie year. I
stepped it up.
I still got the Triple Crown from there. But I started my second or maybe third or fourth year. I started working. I got my own job in the activities department.
Right.
That's how I remember
strings. Yeah.
To like, hey, Mr. Collins, you need an extra guy because I just wanted. It was $2 an hour, but it was room and board for free.
Yeah, and you get access to a lot of shit too. Yeah.
So he wanted me to do that. So I went and talked to Work Scholarship and like, yeah, we can do one more job for you. So it was me and like all the Canadian and like foreign exchange students.
Yeah, dude.
Like because that was the only job they could have. But I also had a real job.
Right.
So I would get done with class at like 1. From like 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock, I was Work Scholarship, and I would.
Damn, and then you go to FedEx.
I'd go to FedEx from 6 to 11 or midnight. So then I'd get home at midnight.
Sleep.
I didn't. That's why. Well, I slept during my class.
Right.
That's where I slept.
I did that my senior year, and I worked for Testet, Eric.
Yeah. Me and Eric are good friends too.
Eric's cool. I like Eric. And what Eric hooked me up because I had to get in because I had gone on tour the year before. So I had room and board paid for. I just had to pay tuition, and this was pushing it towards my tuition.
Nice.
This was
like
extra.
You get free every
and not free everything, but like it was taking a nice chunk off my bill.
Right.
So in the morning I'd have to do grounds, which sucked.
Oh, I remember you doing grounds. Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
In the winter, dude, that was the fucking worst. You're fucking shoveling snow for an hour. So I get to grounds, and I was supposed to work from 6:30 to 7:30. I wouldn't. I worked 6:30 to 7, and then go back to my room, sleep for half an hour, then get ready, then go to class. In the afternoon, I was supposed to work another hour, but I needed to sleep.
Right.
And Eric was like, dude, he didn't say fuck, but I don't give a fuck.
Right. He probably did. Eric probably did drop the F-bomb.
I
know I've heard it. So.
don't know if he ever said it to me, but that doesn't surprise me. Good on you, Eric.
Yeah.
So I remember he would tell me, not tell me, but like our arrangement was show up, punch your time card, go to bed, hang out with your girlfriend, what you're going to do, punch out, you're good.
Yeah.
And so that was my hour in the afternoon to do shit.
So that's
quality control, QC, that's what I was, but I didn't do anything.
QC of what?
Oh.
Oh, you just called it QC?
Yeah, well, he said that's what I was doing. And every
he
once in a
got
while
demoted.
Oh, did he?
Well, he was activities.
Yes, that's
he
right.
got demoted to grounds because he did like in a decent, like there was a thing he did that Ray Young didn't like.
Which could have been just,
yeah, so
well, it wasn't hair.
He wasn't allowed
it wasn't
to,
his hair, but...
yeah, so he was not allowed to do...
He was restricted.
He was not allowed to do activities.
Damn!
Same thing happened to me. Is I was not allowed to do activities because of my reputation and record.
Wow.
So we did the Monk movies.
The Monk movies.
You remember the
show?
No,
the Monk. Oh, you guys did because it was the
movie. Like they still
it
play it to
scary
this
one.
day.
Do
So
they
if you're at
really?
Hyles-Anderson now, and it's Harvest Days coming up in a couple months,
it is.
you can go see it. There's 2 of them we did. We did a sequel. There's an original one that they did in the 80s, like a black and white.
Yes.
Of like the whole thing is like there's a
because Hyles-Anderson, was a monastery.
Yeah,
prior.
it was a Capuchin monk monastery.
Yeah.
So the whole story was that it was haunted by a monk who was still left behind. So they made this film. We watched it. It was me, Tim Jones, Adam Minnick, and Eric Tastet.
Yep.
And then Jeremy Wilson.
Right
there was a guy named Jeremy. He's a
Jeremy
Southern
Wilson.
guy. He had a real high voice, and he talked like this. That's what, yeah.
Okay, I
so
probably
he was
remember
also in
if I saw
activities
him.
too.
Okay.
We did the first one, and then like 2 years later, we wrote and did a
Another
second one. And it was the second one was when The Office came out.
Okay, yeah.
And it was
So
a
you played off
it was a mockumentary.
Mockumentary.
Like we did like the talking to the camera, like in between scenes.
Oh, yeah, I
and
remember
stuff.
this vaguely now.
Yeah, and I was a Scottish guy in a skirt. I went up to and got a plaid skirt from a girl.
Oh shit!
And wore a plaid skirt.
Ballsy,
and it was
dude.
like, it was big deal
Legit.
that they were not going to let me do it.
Oh,
be in a skirt, and I was
right.
like, so I argued it, and I was like, we have one for graduation every year.
Oh shit, we do.
Yeah, there's a guy in a bagpipe comes out and plays. I was like, I'm just playing a Scottish guy. I'm not,
Same shit.
Yeah, I was like, and they're like, oh, okay, so
and
I had like Argyle socks and I had a plaid skirt. So that video is still there.
Dude,
I need to get with
amazing.
Mr. Collins.
Yeah,
to, like,
you
see
can
if
get that shit.
I'll put it. I'll give it to you, man.
Dude, I would love that.
Yeah.
I remember. So I think that was. I'm trying to because I know I went to Harvest Days a couple times, and I think the only one that I'm sure I went with my different girls that I was dating, but like not that I dated that many. But the only one I really remember is going with Lauren Kilby.
I don't remember her.
You remember Keith?
Keith,
your brother, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I remember going with Lauren, and it was, and this isn't, I don't know, someone will see this that knows Lauren. This isn't anything against or weird. It's just, I had never been touched by a member of the opposite sex.
Oh, that was your first, like...
But it wasn't a thing.
No, it was just, like, brushed up.
It wasn't even that. We were on the hayride, and she almost fell off.
Oh, and you grabbed
her. And Lauren's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I didn't grab her. She grabbed my arm, and I was like, well, I'm going to marry this girl.
Yeah, you
like,
have to.
Like,
I mean, like, your dad's going to have a shotgun at your back because you grabbed your arm, like that.
And then I made them, and I'm not saying this was why something went one way or another, because it's clearly not. We were basically teenagers. But I remember I did the thing in chapel where you could put your name up there and the girl's name to get them to sit with you in chapel.
Yeah.
And I did that to her. I had my friends do that to her. And she was mortified, and rightfully so. That's
why
terrible.
Would you do that?
Because I thought that was how you did it.
Right, yeah.
And she wasn't mean. She was very gracious, very kind. But like I understood clearly after that she didn't want
not
to see.
Interested in you, yeah.
And rightfully so. I'm a moron for doing that. That was so. I don't know why I remember that, but
that's funny.
Harvest Days, I do remember that was playing. I'm sure I had to have seen it a time or two.
So if you've seen the Monk movies at school,
that's you.
That was
That's
we
Mike.
wrote that.
That's the genius of Mike.
Yeah, that was my comedy.
So if you're comfortable with say or not, it's fine. What was there a thing or just kind of like what ended up?
It was a slow progression.
Okay.
A lot of it was the bus ministry stuff that you see the holes in.
Petered off.
You see the holes in it.
Okay.
So I always tell people ask me why. Because I tell people that I meet now, like, I went to school for theology, and they're like, why did you,
what?
Like, you don't even go to church. And I'm
Right,
like, yeah, I know. So I always tell people, like, you ever see a magician do a magic trick? Yep. And you're like, wow, that's really cool. And then he kind of, like, shows you how it's done, and you're like...
all its luster is gone.
But you're like, that's kind of stupid. Like, I can't believe that fooled me.
Yeah.
That's how I explain it.
That's very well
That's
stated.
my
yeah.
analogy with it, is
that's
like...
good.
The whole thing is this theatrical magic show.
Really
and once you get to the other side of the curtains and see what really goes on, or see what the numbers are that they say are numbers, like when the HB kids go out and they witness to 10,000 people on a Saturday, and you're like, no, I know those kids. Yeah, they didn't do that. Or the bus ministry baptized 2000. I had the baptism bus is a real thing because I were on it? I did it, yeah.
Dude.
So they had a bus. They tricked out a bus. Like, it was like a Pimp My Ride.
Yeah.
They blacked out the windows.
Has talked about it, but I want to hear you talk about it.
They blacked out the windows. They put one, like a tank in the middle, and it had a cover on it so it could be filled with water but drive and it not splash.
What the fuck?
And then they did, like, girls' changing room on the back side and the boys' changing room on the front side.
That is a recipe for a lawsuit, dude.
Yes. And they would drive around. We'd go to rough neighborhoods. This was, like, summertime. This was summertime during the big baptism year.
Yeah, 25,000.
And we would do, like, vacation Bible school in the park in, like, Chicago. And then we would tell kids to go get baptized. And they'd walk up into the bus, get baptized, and come back out.
A born-again Christian.
Born again.
Jesus. That's nuts.
Yes.
What did you give them? Did you have giveaways? To draw them in bribes?
Yeah, we did, like, candy. And Pixie sticks always did well.
Pixie sticks. Yeah.
Pickles we did for the ghetto church. Oh,
yeah.
wait, hold on. I've got...
Show them.
I've got 17 stitches.
No shit.
On my hand.
Yeah, I see
From Cabrini Green.
No shit.
From Cabrini Green. That's my ghetto.
Well, we need the story.
I got more cred than Drake.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. So, what happened? Is that a pickle jar that got busted?
No, we were playing basketball with kids in church shoes, and I landed on broken glass. And like we had all these kids, there was teenagers there, and like it's Cabrini Green. It's a rough neighborhood.
It's
rough, like real rough.
Yeah.
And I was like in charge of the group, and we were playing ball with these kids, and I'm not into it. But I went to stop, and my feet just gave out from under me.
Because you were in dress shoes.
And I landed on broken glass, and I stood up, and like it was pouring. It was pouring out of my hand. It was a pretty deep cut. And it was like flapped open, and like all the kids were like,
they lost it.
White guy's hurt, and it just went.
Like, for real?
And I'm like trying not to make a bigger deal out of it. Like, they just got the first aid kit in the bus, and I told the dude, I was like, go to the bus, get the first. I need it. He's like, what? I'm like, just go to the bus.
Fucking dumbass.
Yeah, go to the bus. So then, like, the moms and people people hanging out at they're like watching me, and I'm like trying to like I don't want to put it in my coat because this is
gonna bleed.
My only nice shirt, you know.
I know that life.
So I'm like, I'm like heating it down, but I'm like I got a blood like a line.
Did you start feeling faint at all?
No.
Okay, good.
And then like I went to the local hospital and they stitched me up, and they were like, where did this happen? Like the lady was gonna give me a booster or a tetanus shot.
Yeah,
and she's like, did you have? And she's like, what's this? She's like, where did this happen? And I was like, oh, right down the road. She's like, where at? I was like, Cabrini Green. She's like, no, really, where did it? Like the nurse didn't believe me. She's like, no, really, where did it happen? I'm like, no, I'm serious. She's like, what the hell are you doing?
What were you doing
there? That's what she was asking me. I was like, long story.
You don't want to know, lady.
And then the other nurse came up and she was like, well, do you need a booster shot? And she was like, was it dirty where it happened? The other nurse was like, it was Cabrini Green. And she was like, oh, and she like started sticking me.
Got several in there.
Yeah. So then they stitched me up.
That's a trip. I mean, not.
So that's like my street cred. Is I tell people I meet today, I'm like, I have stitches on my hand
from Jesus,
from Cabrini Green.
Like, that's legit, dude. Yeah. I remember. So Gavin Corwin was my bus captain for a time.
Okay.
And I remember that one of our bus kids, we were having whatever the big day was. I feel like it was. We did some of the dumbest shit, man. Like, there was one. Either it wasn't drones. We didn't have drones. It was just people. It was I don't know, candy dash, whatever you want to call it. We stood on top of the buses and fucking threw candy at a crowd of kids.
Oh, really? Just like mobbed them? Did you ever do the human pinatas?
Human pinatas?
Where you'd stuff a bus worker's clothes full of...
Yeah, I think we did do that.
And then they just have to go run, and the kids would just tackle
them? Yes, okay. Pinata threw me off. Like,
we called it the human pinata.
Yeah, then you run. Yes, I remember. I feel like I did that. I did
Ours
that,
was always Joey Payne. So Joey Payne was like our crash test.
Yes.
We would just tell Joey to do something.
He'd just do it.
So Joey would be like, come on, man. Like, Joey, do it. Like, all right. Like, he just... But we would pack him, like, we'd buy, like, an extra large shirt, and we would pack it full of candy. He'd run, and it's, like, spittering out. And then, like, he'd be standing there as a mob of kids, like, punching him. And, like,
there's no more candy!
You slowly, like, just fall over and be like, I hope he's all right.
My dad has a story. I don't remember if it was from when I was a kid in our church in Indiana, I think it was, or no, it was when he was on the bus route, and they had the Bomb the Devil Sunday, so it was just water balloons, but the lady workers didn't fill them up all the way, so they were just like zingers, dude,
like
and
welts.
They weren't breaking, and the kids were picking them up and throwing them out. And the devil's like, fucking stop! Not fucking, but like, stop! Like, he takes his mask. I know. He takes his mask off. He's like, I said stop, and they're just.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Murdering the guy.
So when I was on Division I, I became part of Ditcher's Bus.
Oh, you got to give me some Ditcher's Bus stories.
So the Ditcher's Bus story.
I feel like that was like a rite of passage. Like you had to be someone to do that.
So you talk about how you were a tour guy.
Yeah.
You became like
Ditcher Bus guy
because we were like bus ministry.
Thistle was on it too.
Thistle was on it. It was like Steve Bradbury.
Yep. Steve was scary.
Yeah, he was like John Francis's like clone.
Did Chris Norris ever ride? I feel like Chris would be the guy to be on there.
He might have been too serious, like too
straight edge.
But he was also South Side. I don't think he was.
He was definitely South Side. No, he's definitely.
So this was all North Side guys because it was a different schedule.
Right. He ran opening assembly for
the ironic thing we would always laugh about. We call it Ditchers. So the Ditchers bus was we drop all these kids from Chicago off to Indiana.
You guys were the Ditchers.
We were the Ditchers. I know. And like these kids would skip church and go.
Explain the process of Ditcher's Bus.
Yeah, so Ditcher's Bus, they would drop. Thousands of kids are coming from Chicago. Yeah. Well, depending who, hundreds of kids are coming from Chicago. Dozens of kids are coming from Chicago.
Exactly.
There's this kid coming from Chicago.
3 kids.
No, so we drop them off.
When we get down to the real story.
So we drop them off. They're supposed to go to church, but the teenagers would wander off, and there's a 7-Eleven or a Walgreens.
Strax was there after a while.
Yeah, Strax and Van Til. They go to Popeyes Chicken or just
Popeyes
the park.
Right there. Yeah.
And so our job, we drive around, and they write the bus number on the hand of the kids.
I completely forgot about that.
So to know which bus you're on, everybody getting on and off, they'd write, like we were 70-1.
Yep.
You'd have to write.
80-11.
So we would drive around and look for kids that looked like...
I totally forgot
hey,
about
who is that? And like we would be like, oh, she's got a marking on her hand.
Get the fuck on the bus.
They got to be, And then the driver, what was that dude's name? Steve. He was like a former bus. He was the one who.
It wasn't Sal, was it?
No, he was not like a bus. He was like a former bus kid.
Okay.
Who was like probably 40.
Oh wow.
Who was like he lived in Chicago, so he was a Puerto Rican guy.
Okay.
And man, I wish I remember his name.
Huh.
But he ended up coming that ATP bus company. That was his bus. Yeah. So he sold that to the church. You give me $50,000, whatever money was, to start my business, and I will be your bus company on the weekends.
That's smart.
Smart, yeah.
That's funny.
But he was like I think he went to City Baptist, whatever. He was like this mean Puerto Rican
dude. He was a graduate, though, yeah.
But he never went to Hyles, but he was like good friends with John Francis. I think might have been John Francis' like bus kid.
Probably. Fucking everyone's John Francis' bus kid.
Yeah. So he would drive around.
He'd be your driver for Ditcher's Bus.
And then he wouldn't wear a tie on purpose. He would just have like a button-up shirt.
Right.
And he would drive around, and we go to 7-Eleven, we find kids, and like we would get off the we see people, and we're like, oh yeah, that's Johnny, like that's Jose or whatever. Yeah. Like, hey, get on the bus, and we're like, man, I ain't getting on that bus. And then this dude would come out. And he's like, get your fucking ass on this bus. And the kid looks at him, he's like, do you see my face? Am I wearing a tie? He's like, I'm not the church man.
Oh shit.
I'm not the church man. Get your ass in this bus. He's like, you're gonna get, like.
Damn.
And their kids would be like the kids would just start crying. And these were like hard Chicago kids, and they see this Puerto Rican dude coming at them.
He's gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, and they were like, okay, like they would just get on the bus.
Do you know
and,
who was
take them? And then they had like the bus office, like the prison.
I remember.
The little bus prison.
The bus office. Yes,
I forgot. I just thought of that.
Oh shit, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's where you were. You were an asshole.
You were real bad kid in the bus office.
I remember. I don't remember him, but I remember the guy that was
Cordell. Steve Cordell, I think, something like that.
Familiar.
Something like that. Yeah.
I remember the
Carell. It's not Steve Carell.
Nice try. I do remember Ricky Torres was that guy at Teen Center. I remember.
God, I hated that guy. I hope he sees this.
He might. I actually got along with Rick real well. I remember he taught a class. I was in one of his classes. I got along with Ricky real well. In fact, to the point that when I left college, when I graduated and was going to go work at a church, I called him up and I was like, hey, I'm going to be a youth pastor. I took your youth class. I didn't pay attention. Can we go do lunch and you teach me all that shit real quick? He's like, yeah, sure, let's do it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I'm not trying to say like you should be a Rick fan. Like
no,
he's still there.
He was just the guy. He had his clique of guys.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the Dustin Moores and the
like
his whole Dustin. And like so he and Settlemeyer were like the same. Like they had their clique of City Baptist kids.
Yeah, they did.
And it was. Yeah.
It was them or no one.
It was weird.
Yeah, that is weird.
It was like a weird clique. Like you spend all your time with like college age or high school
That's
like
not
boys.
Right. That's not right.
Weird.
That's not right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead.
Yeah, so we can get into that if you want.
Let's get into that. Yeah. So I have not covered, I'm sure I've mentioned his name here or there, but I haven't talked a lot about Chris on the podcast. Yes. But Chris Settlemeyer was a division leader.
Yeah, Division 2. He was like I moved from Division 1 to Division 2
under Chris.
Under like Matt Thistle was my bus captain.
Yep. But Chris was your division leader.
Chris
over
was the
Matt.
division leader. Yeah.
So Chris was the division leader, and Chris, we don't have to get into the gory details, but I think it's good to talk about how how empowered these men become,
yes,
and how they're able to get away with these just awful, vile things
crimes.
that they do,
Yeah.
crimes
Literally,
to children.
Yeah.
And Chris and who was I talking to? I'm trying to remember. They weren't talking about Chris. They were talking about someone else who he was there. Not Chris. But we'll get back to Chris. There was a guy. I can't remember his name. He was their bus captain. Maybe it was Chris, but he was their bus captain. They said we remember vividly that he was absolutely sleeping with one of the moms of the bus kids on our bus ride.
Really?
He would go over and he'd be at their house for
Right.
hours, and we knew what was going on. And we'd be, I think John Bannister was telling me this. We'd be stuck somewhere wherever we were at, and we'd be calling him like, "Hey, we need you to come pick us up. It's 9 p.m. We got to get back. It's
Right.
fucking dark out here. Like, oh, Miss So and So, she needs blah blah blah. And I'll be there."
That's
So he's like,
weird, man.
"Yeah, dude, come on."
Yeah.
So, anyways, Chris Settlemyer was a hyles-anderson student.
Yeah.
Was promoted from bus captain to division leader. So, bus captain is you're over a small area,
yeah.
2-3 blocks, square blocks, and you have 3 or 4, 10 people under you max. But then when you're a division leader, like you're over a bunch of those things, a bunch of those sections of Chicago, and so he was a big deal.
Yeah.
I feel like John pumped him a lot.
Yes.
Well, John pumped Bradbury, I guess, a lot, but I
Yeah.
feel like Chris was a big deal, and
Yes.
he was to be revered. He was to be looked up to. He was
And
a
it came from
producer.
nowhere too.
Huh?
That's what's weird is that
That's interesting.
his first 2 years wasn't
Yeah.
even in the bus ministry.
No shit.
Yeah.
Huh?
And then like randomly,
Just
like, because
bam.
that's where like all of us got pissed.
yeah,
'Cause we were
'cause he
like,
got
we've been doing this for like
pushed to
2,
the
3
top,
years.
yeah. And this guy from
And
nowhere
we've
is
been
a
working our
division
ass
leader.
off for you, and
Huh.
then this other guy comes
That's
in,
strange.
but that's what Chris was good. Chris
Yeah.
was an ass kiss
Yeah.
to like he was
Yeah.
good. I don't mean that
Yeah.
in a bad way. I wish
No.
I could do that.
Yeah.
To move my career and my personal life along. Like,
yeah, that'd be great, huh?
yeah.
Damn.
But I grew up with him. Chris.
Oh, no way.
He went to the I think he came to my
Did
school.
he go to Antioch?
Yeah, he went to Antioch.
Wow.
We graduated same year. We both to Hiles the same time. I knew him since second grade.
Holy shit.
Our school was 100 people.
It's tiny, yeah. So you
my
knew
high
him
school,
well.
like my junior high,
Yeah.
high school, whatever. We were
How many? You said 7 in your graduating
Eight.
class.
We graduated eight, yeah.
2 in mine.
of my graduating class
How
of
many
8.
went?
2 of them are in prison for child crimes.
No
Yeah,
shit.
so 25% of my class
Or pedophiles.
are pedophiles.
Fuck, dude.
That's messed up.
Oh my
2 of them went to
God.
Hiles.
Jesus, bro.
So
Chris Settlemyer is one of those two.
he, I think he worked at First Baptist for a while, but
Did
he
he?
got
Okay.
busted at First Baptist for
Yeah, I know he was doing shit at First Baptist.
he was his City Baptist kids,
Uh-huh.
they were skipping Sunday night church and going to Hooters.
Wow.
Right,
With him?
with him.
Oh shit.
He was taking them and buying them
Oh
stuff.
wow.
Yeah,
And Hooters isn't. No, Hooters is close to the college.
yeah.
Or is there one in Hammond? There's
There
not a
might be.
Hooters in Hammond. There's no way they'd go to
That's
Hammond.
right. I wouldn't go to a Hooters.
Exactly.
Uh,
That'd be rough.
yeah.
Catch an STD for sure in your week.
Yes. You would get an extra shot just so it kills anything that's in there.
Like they gave you for your
Yeah.
Say Cabrini Green.
Cabrini
Yeah,
Green.
exactly.
No, but then, so then my pastor back home was retiring, and
Yep.
he came in as an assistant pastor
Chris
the
did.
last year,
Wow.
and the church voted him in, and then within 2
And
years,
it makes sense. The IFB culture set him up for. I'm not saying what he did. We'll
Yes.
get into it not too deep, but we will. It's his fault. He owns it. But at the same time, they set him up. They allowed him. They
Yes.
propagated that.
Yes.
He went from, hey, you didn't do so
but
well.
when my
here.
home church was doing investigation about the pastor,
Yeah.
they never called Hiles and was or
No
called the
shit.
church and be like, hey,
Hey, we're following up at where he's been the last 12 years or whatever.
or
was.
hey, did you have any problems with him?
Yeah. Nothing.
They never asked them because they just
Wow.
assumed
That
that
everything was
Hiles
kosher.
would have
would've
HAC
told
or First Baptist
Yeah.
would have done something,
Right.
done their due diligence to be he's
Right.
probably not ready
Probably
for this
not the
leadership
guy,
position. And
Damn.
but then there was a young boy in the church that he had. There was
You can
text
say
message.
whatever,
Yeah.
yeah.
There was text messages. I think the mom found the text messages.
Damn.
And she took it to the police
Good.
immediately.
Because
Good
if she had
on
gone
her.
to the church,
Yeah.
you might
Well, he
not-
was the pastor. Who is she going to take? It to?
Exactly. Good point. Yeah.
He was now
yeah.
the pastor of the church at
Wow.
early 20s.
Damn.
Maybe late 25, 26 or something like that.
Wow.
He's a pastor of a church.
He's not ready.
Jesus
he's not
didn't
ready.
start his ministry till he was 30.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
can't even be president till you're 35.
Yeah. So
there's
let's
a
go
reason.
easy. Yeah. You got to figure this
There's
shit
a reason
out.
that the Bible says not to be a novice. You need
Yeah.
to be a little bit older
Be
to
established.
be yes.
Yeah.
But they hired. They made him the pastor.
They
of the
pretty
church.
much hired him sight unseen.
And then he started grooming this boy
Damn.
And like the mom found text messages, and she took it to the police. The police came in, like raided the church, raided his house, and like he was like, I think him or his wife was trying to like destroy a laptop, and then they
yanked that. I'm
sure. they got everything, and they put him on $1 million bail. Which is like legit. Like that's not like
I think that's what Victor got put on as well. Yeah. It
was $1 million bail.
Damn.
And then he was at the prison, like talking over the phone to his wife. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll put up the house to like get out, and we'll go to Mexico because she was
she's from Mexico.
She was her family. She's a bus kid from Chicago.
Okay.
But she's got obviously ties in Mexico and stuff. And he was like,
he was telling her we're gonna.
Yeah. So then they were like, no bail. This guy's not getting out.
Why would you do it over the prison phone?
Because
you're 26 years old, that's why.
And he's still like in Jackson, Michigan, Jackson County Prison or something.
No, he's out.
He's not. He's still serving.
I thought I saw that he was out.
No, I don't think so. Maybe, but I'm almost sure he's out. He had like the same, because it happened almost same time as Schaap.
Right. Oh, shit. We'll have to look into that because I thought he was out. But I'd be thrilled to learn that I'm wrong. Trust me.
I think he's still in.
What I read about him was that this will never make sense to me, is that again, what I read is that there were multiple counts or multiple people involved, and he's serving those sentences parallel or something like that.
I know there were a couple other
More
brought
boys,
up, but I don't know the detail. I know there was one boy that was
but again, I guess
child,
I can't imagine what that does to you at that age. But again, just to point that out, like here's the problem. He has to own his crimes, like that's why he's doing the time. But we propagate the rape culture is already a problem.
So my philosophy, and like you said, I'm not taking his actions away from him.
Right.
Right. What he did is heinous and wrong, and he needs to be where he's at.
Absolutely.
And do the crime, serve the crime or the time for the crime.
Yep.
The issue I have, so obviously he has got homosexual tendencies.
Yeah, clearly, yeah. But he's had to deny those his whole life.
Right. You can't have pornography as no outlet.
Right.
You can't, you know what I mean? Like if if you need help and you have a problem, seek help. But when you're in that position, where are you going to go to seek help?
Who can you talk to?
You're going to give up your job, your house,
you're gonna lose
your car,
everything.
your phone, your wife, your children,
Yeah.
everybody you've ever been friends with because you came out as a gay man.
Yeah, you're fucked.
Because you came out.
Yep. Because you said who you really are.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right.
You can't do that.
And it's like, there's got to be, like, look at the Catholic Church. I mean, there's going to be an outlet for...
Dude. Yeah.
Like, you cannot go to another pastor and say...
Look,
I've
man,
got a problem. I think I might be gay,
right.
or I have, pray the gay away. Like, let's say you believe that, which is bullshit. But let's say but you still can't disclose it to somebody else because they're going to be like, "Why are you going back to that church?"
They're going to immediately judge you,
right?
Yeah,
and like you're caught in a situation. So if you're in that for 10 years, like, what do you? You're going to try to do shit under the table to like try to not to no pun intended. But I'm saying like you're going to try to do stuff where
you're going to do shit on the download because
but that's why people get busted for like prostitution. It's never like the pianist in the church. It's like a prostitute. It's like a gay.
It's something outside of their normal.
Right.
Out of their
it's something
realm.
far off left wing that nobody would ever be like. Jack Schaap was taking a girl across state lines to sleep with her in a cabin. Bullshit. You know what I mean? Like,
that doesn't add up.
Obviously, he's not going to sleep with the organist.
Right. But no one was sleeping with her. Her husband wasn't sleeping with her. Yes. I hope. That's a terrible picture. It's in my head.
But
I'll
just
do it.
Screw tradition.
Fuck it.
USA.
America. But yeah, that I mean, I know we kind of derailed there with Chris, but to me, it's very telling what's wrong with the whole movement when something like that can happen, maybe on a smaller scale, but can happen at one place.
Right.
And then you end up in another place for it to happen again or worse or whatever.
And the exact same things are happening all around the country. All of these small churches, all of these. Personally, I was friends with Chris.
Yeah.
We were always kind of rivals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Like, as in, like, he was way better at schmoozing and kissing. Yeah, like, I'm better at it now. I was not good at it.
No,
then.
I wasn't.
And he was able to, like, he always got out of trouble.
Level.
Oh, he always got out of trouble that I always felt like I got in.
Probably because you did.
he was the guy in the locker rooms or the back of the bus who would take the joke one too far.
Yep.
And be like, whoa. Like, and everyone would be like, whoa, man. Like, he's like, oh, you know, like.
It's a joke.
Yeah. And we're like, okay. You know, like, it was that. Like.
Damn.
And, like, so when I got my sister, I think, texted me, like,
to tell you.
Like, yeah, hey, look, pull up this internet, you know, and it was like, he was arrested. I was surprised, but not surprised.
Not shocked, though.
Yeah. Like, seeing how he progressed into the megalomaniac of, like, leader. You know, like, because I grew up with the guy. So then I'm, like, trying to talk to him, and he was doing, like, the John Francis, like, oh, that's nice. Hey, Howard. And he would pull, like, the
Tic Tacs or
no,
what?
It was, like, that drops, like, the
sucking
Banaka.
on
the Banaka drops.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Yeah, that's good. You're like, hey, it's like, you know, and he would have, like, the whole same man. Like, it wasn't the same guy anymore that I grew up with.
No.
Come on, dude. Like, I've been to your house. Like, I spent the night at your house when we were kids.
Yeah,
like,
I know you. What the fuck are you doing?
I played in your pool. You've been to my birthday parties.
Yeah.
Like,
what? You can go ahead and be that.
Yeah,
be
you
John
don't
Francis,
have to be that now.
Be John Francis to everyone else. That's fine. Don't be it to me.
Right.
That's just fucking stupid.
But that's the thing, like the John Francis story. So I remember one time, John Francis was driving my bus, going back to, it was Goldfish Sunday.
Oh, jeez.
So
you remember dumping those out in the street?
Oh, it was gross.
So you'd have too many
Sunday, I was leading the program.
Yeah.
And some lady worker, so we were on Lakeshore Drive in traffic.
Oh, yeah.
He would always take Lakeshore because he just liked the view.
I love it.
So he would take the bus on Lakeshore and drive.
Yep.
So we were in bumper to bumper on Lakeshore Drive, and like I'm leading the program. If you love Jesus, sing, you know. And I called somebody up to like a lady workers to come up and sing. So we're sitting there. He's driving the bus, and he's got the side window open. He's driving the bus. He's got the side window open.
Loving life.
And I'm standing in the stairwell, like where you're not supposed to be.
Right.
And I got the bucket of fish there.
Oh,
and he's
God,
like,
"What's about to happen?"
He's like, "Hey, hand me a goldfish." And I was like, "What?"
He said just like, I was scared.
Give me a goldfish. And I was like,
"You gotta do this. You gotta do this."
Oh yeah, I gotta do this. Give me a goldfish right there. So like he's driving the bus and.
Okay.
I give him a goldfish and he's standing there and he like his window's open and he goes and like throws it out. There's a convertible next to us. He threw it in the back of the convertible and he got like this giggle fit. Like he just like I'm standing there like this guy's crazy.
You're
like,
a maniac.
Yeah, and he's like, I can't wait till they clean out their car. And they're like, how did a goldfish get in my car? And he was like, thought it was the funniest
That made
thing.
his day. Like,
it's funny. Like, it's something I would do now. Like, with your kids in the car, like, watch this.
Yeah.
Kids.
But like, not as the division, like the running
like,
the
I was
whole...
not expecting, you know, like stuff like that he would do. We started...
That's amazing.
I confess all my sins. I don't want to offend anybody.
This is not your mother's podcast.
Yeah, this is not yet. So thank you for
offend people.
So full disclosure, we started the thing where we were on the north side.
Yep.
My bus route was by the gay area.
Yeah.
We stole gay flags. That was our thing. Oh my God. So at night, on Saturday night, we would, like my neighborhood's right by Boys Town, right by Edgewater, Clark and Ashland. Yeah, it's north side.
I was south
just
side.
north of like Wrigleyville. So it's like Wrigleyville, Boys Town. Like
yeah.
Wrigleyville's a big gay area.
Yep.
Boys Town's definitely a big gay area.
Clearly.
So like we would always laugh about like the gay bars. Like we thought that like there was the Jackhammer. It was a great name.
Was that one by the college? Was that a gay bar? That was.
Oh no
something.
The Alaskan Pipeline.
Yes,
yeah.
pipeline.
Oh man, I haven't thought about that.
I know.
No, they did.
But that was
called like a male review.
That was a big.
It was like
rumor.
male strip. Like, they were like Chip and Dale kind
really?
of things. Like on a Thursday night, like once a month or something. They would
funny.
do. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, so like the houses would have. So like it was funny how like the gentrification of the area. When I first went there, like 2001,
it wasn't that at all.
It was all Hispanic.
Oh wow!
And it was all pretty poor, like the 3-4 floors, like the basement apartment in the back that's like cockroaches and gross.
A lot of tamales in those, yeah.
And like I feel bad for those movies. Like I'm still friends with like bus kids I had.
I am
like,
too. Yeah.
Not even they never went to City Baptist.
I'll shout them out right now, Mario and Eddie. Yeah.
So Jamaica, Jamiro Rivera, if you're out there.
I love it, dude. Yeah.
But then there were the ones that like went to City Baptist.
Yes. Yeah.
That were also like I'm still friends with.
Same.
Rhea. O'Dall, and she's married now. She's like in the Air Force or something, but she was like my bus kid. Ellie Kinatoa.
Damn, you know your kids better than I.
Like these were like people I just became.
JC, I remember JC too. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, but these were like they were my friends. Cause I just go hang out at their house and be like,
that's what I did.
You guys play Nintendo
Natalie
and
Ricky, I don't know where they are to this day, but Natalie and Ricky, like I watched a shitload of bootleg movies at their house. Like Natalie and Ricky were like they were the homies, and I would get pissed at them because we were really cool on Saturday. Then Sunday, I'm like, okay, but I need you to come to church also, and they wouldn't do it.
We were still hardcore. Like my first 3 years, I was still hardcore bus ministry, even if I didn't go to class. And that was my justification was, I was out saving souls on the weekend. I don't have time for class.
Screw class, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't need to go to class. I don't need to graduate. This is my ministry.
Exactly. That's what they wanted. That's what they wanted.
Yeah,
anyways.
so we'd finish up with everything. It'd be like 7 o'clock, and we're like, oh, we can't go back to the college at 7 o'clock.
No,
it's way too early.
You're pussies, yeah.
Yeah, it can't be a fucking pussy. Like you have to, and even if you weren't tired, you had to do that walk from the front of the chat, like from the.
I remember it well.
And just like you had to like pull your shirt down, like your tie, and just like. Like say hi to your girlfriend, like, hey, let's go. You know what I mean?
Passing.
But it was like, you were a soldier coming back from like battle, and like with that stagger, like.
I love it that you.
Like we wouldn't even be tired. Like we were just playing basketball, and we were just like, so we would literally like do stuff to like pass time. But we just started like. We'd see a gay flag, and we're like, let's get that. Like, we would climb up and, like, rip them down and just run. God. Like, there's one house we stole it, like, 3-4 times. They kept putting up a new flag. And we're like, they're gonna catch us. Plus, these dudes are, like, gay and probably jacked.
Yeah, they're gonna fuck you up. Yeah.
Literally fuck us up.
Yeah.
So,
bro.
Yeah, and we would steal.
You know what we would steal? We would steal Mary's.
Oh, okay.
Mary statues.
So I had the Jesus statue we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember where that came from.
That's what
we stole it. We stole it from somewhere.
So you stole the Jesus, because to me Jesus is that's hyles-anderson lore is that Jesus statue. I remember.
Is it really?
Oh yes,
that's so
dude.
weird.
Yeah, but okay. So I stole Mary's statues, but Mary's statues were when you see here like maybe this tall. They were heavy
Jesus
as
was
fuck.
like it was just his bust. It was like his head.
Huge.
It was like a
Jesus
big,
was
heavy.
big.
But we put like hats on it.
You put hats. You put a Detroit jersey
had a
on
Pistons
him.
jersey on.
Hell yeah!
And that was when
he traveled though, right?
Yeah, he would
Jesus
be.
would go
we'd
from
put him
one-
in people's beds. Like you'd show up, yeah, and there'd be like a
Like
Jesus
the horse head?
Yeah, like I'll make him an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, I remember that was
But
in our room. So that was my third year. So it was my third year.
You were on Colston, I remember.
No, this was my third year. I'm in Malone.
I remember Jesus on Colston though. Why do I remember him on Colston?
I was in Malone because it was me, Jason Williams, Jeff Whitby, Phil Tompkins.
Okay, yeah.
So talk about like so this was the point they split. So Rice became freshman.
Oh, Malone was
sophomore.
Some juniors maybe.
Some junior, and then
senior
senior
was
was Colston.
Yeah.
It was like my third and fourth year.
Yeah.
And I was still a sophomore. Like I did all my classes.
Dude, I finished on Malone. I went from Rice to Malone, and that was it. LeBogan was like, "You're staying on Malone." I stayed on Malone.
So I was on Malone 1.
I wanted to go because Colston was until Rice got remodeled. Colston was the coveted spot. That was nice.
Everybody wanted to be.
Yeah, everyone wanted to be at Colston.
Yeah, I never made it to Colston until like my last year, maybe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was all of us in a room.
Oh shit!
And we would watch movies. We had, we had, it was fun.
That was a chill room.
So that's the one where Jake Coiler, the little person.
Oh yes,
Jake,
yes.
He was at school.
Yep.
So he was on our floor. So we were sitting in the room one night with the lights
he was
off.
An angry dude.
He was. Yeah.
Okay.
He was on he had like his own reality show.
No shit.
Like on like cable
serious?
TV. Like he became like a bodybuilding wrestler.
No way.
And he had there was like a show called.
I mean, good for him. That's fucking awesome.
There was a show like on like.
He had it on TV.
Was like TNT or something like one of those channels was like or A&E or something like that.
Yeah, no.
Like followed this wrestling.
Be an A&E, yeah.
And it was like following this wrestling troupe around. And he was one of the guys on the show.
That's fucking rad.
Yeah.
Good for you,
bizarre.
Jake. You'll never see this.
Wherever you're out there. Yeah, I hope. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was like on our floor. And like we'd be in the middle of the night talking because we just talked till like 2 a.m.
Those are the best rooms.
Yeah.
I remember
and like
that.
me and Jeff was super smart. Jason was super smart.
Yeah.
Phil was super just talking and bantering and just
That's
and now
dope.
I'll get to that. But the second sermon that was preached against me
Oh,
by Wendell Evans.
Oh no.
So so that was in a room and like one night the light was off and so we hear like someone laughing and we're like, what the hell? We turn on the light and Jake had come into our room and there was just like a little man sitting so which brings me back. So poor Jake was like he was expelled from school for not paying his bill. He's like he's a dwarf.
Yeah,
like I don't know what the little person.
The little person, yeah.
So he's 3 and a half foot tall.
Right. I remember.
He was expelled from school, but he was so afraid he couldn't go home.
Oh,
he couldn't tell his family he didn't have money, couldn't pay his bill, and you couldn't do the walk of shame back home.
No.
So he was living in people's cars.
Jesus Christ.
In like the parking lot. So he was a little guy.
Poor guy.
He would just go walk around and he would sleep in the back seat of people's cars.
Oh no, I did not know this.
He would then sneak on campus.
Right.
And get into dorm rooms. And sneak into rooms of his friends who's still there who knew. Right. And like so one night he went and he slept underneath his roommate's or his friend's room bed. And went and slept under his bed. His friend's roommate came home and was sitting in the room like reading and he heard snoring. in a room by himself. You hear snoring, and he's like, "What the hell?" He goes over, shines a light, and there's a midget underneath the bed.
That's amazing.
So that's I'm gonna write a book of stories I have, and it's gonna be called "There's a Midget Under My Bed." Like, that would be the book I would write.
You've got to.
But that is
write
like.
it. That's amazing.
Yeah, like how if you tried to tell somebody who did not go to Hyles-Anderson that story,
right? There's no way they're gonna believe you.
You're not. No way. There's no way that happened.
That
I'm like, no,
bullshit.
No, this happened.
That's real story. Yeah. I'm trying to remember who it was because there was someone else. Was it Chris Turner? I can't remember who it was, but there was someone who same thing got expelled, but just like went for like a month, went from like room to room,
really?
Just hiding out in the dorms, yeah, not paying a bill, not doing shit, but just hiding out, eating the roomies' food, and whatever.
I lived on like ramen noodles and Hawaiian Punch.
Hawaiian Punch.
Like I go get to Walmart and get the big jug, like a gallon jug for like $1.50 or something, and then I would cut it with water so it would last longer.
Yeah. Like, God, I remember those days.
And like just being so broke and so poor, and
bro.
hot. You're coming home in summertime and you're
hot
coming
as
hot.
Fuck. And then they eventually put in drinking fountains, but I didn't like the water. At least on Malone we have it. This is gross, but I remember that was when Rob Nelson was my roommate for a while, and Rob loved the Code Red Mountain Dew.
Okay.
But I like the live wire, the orange one. I remember that was popular. I remember getting that out of the vending machine a few times. But yeah, dude, being poor, man.
So I was on Malone 1, and there's a pop machine there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the thing that covered it, I remember opening it, and the thing was popped out, not screwed in.
Hell yeah, man.
And I like opened it up, and it was like, I'm not a thief. I never stole, but like there was like $26 in singles. And I was like,
bro, yeah, you got it. Fuck.
I remember being so like convicted. Like I was not even like a good Christian at that point, but I just remember being like
bad. That's
like someone's like the
dude,
paranoid. Like
$26. That's gonna go a ways, man.
Especially then, like
yeah.
Like going to McDonald's and hoping your debit card works, and like
so many times.
I remember like sent to your bank on the corner.
Yes,
that was my bank.
That's what my bank. That was mine too.
And like going in and being like negative $200, like
fuck.
Like
I had what did I do
from like the your overdraft and all that stuff.
Exactly, all the overdrafts from the weekend. Okay, this was my scam, and I've probably talked about it before. Not scam, but like I would, it's McDonald's. I would always eat McDonald's, like, and that was especially on the bus route.
Yeah.
But then like whenever I was gonna go somewhere to eat McDonald's, and I'd always go back and get a free sandwich, like the next day, or whatever. Like, hey, my thing was wrong.
Oh, really?
Yeah, always get a free sandwich the next day. I went so far. I remember one time I was on Gavin's route, Division 9 in Chicago South Side, and I ordered 2 double cheeseburgers, which now is like fucking $5.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I ordered 2 double cheeseburgers. I sat down. I ate both of them, and they saw me eat them. And I walked back up with my receipt.
Like,
those burgers weren't any good.
Really?
I watched you eat them. And I was like, yeah, but I didn't really want to. But I'd already been into it, and so I was like, I might as well just finish it. So can I have 2 more?
They give
to me.
So it would be, this was like right before I like left school.
Yeah.
It would be sad. Like I wasn't even doing ministry like my last 2 years.
Fuck it all.
I wasn't going to class. I was pretty much just.
You were just hanging out and paying your bill.
Paying, but I was working work scholarship, so I was paying like $400 a month for rent.
Just to live there, yeah.
So, which was cheap.
It's not bad.
Yeah. And you got food.
And you got to
if
hang
you
out
were
with
there.
the homies, yeah.
So I was paying like $400 a month for my. I would only take 12 credits because I knew I wasn't going to classes.
Yep,
so I'd take the minimum amount that I had to pay in order to stay in the dorms.
Yeah.
And then just not go to class. But I was working. I was making like $400 a week at FedEx.
Yeah.
And I didn't have
didn't have a bill.
I didn't have a school bill. Like,
right.
My room and board was for free.
And you had scholarship.
Yeah, and I was doing work scholarship.
Damn.
So that was my scam of like.
That's how you get by, dude. That's how you fucking get by.
The stuff that so Golia Bagley, remember him?
Oh yes.
So he became my boss. Well, Mr. Crockett took over athletics,
Mark,
and he put Golia Bagley in charge, who was like a missionary kid who didn't know sports.
What?
He never played football.
Doesn't
Doesn't know. I think he knew soccer, but didn't really know soccer. Like, but he didn't know.
No.
So then, like, I became the guy.
Of anything athletic whatsoever.
Yeah. So I became the guy who was like, I ran all the athletics.
Yeah.
But I actually liked it. Like, I got to like stripe the field for football games, and I refed.
I remember seeing
I
you
did
ref
play-by-play
a lot.
I got. They gave me a microphone in the gym.
Oh shit.
For people to like. I would do like commentary, play-by-play.
Hell yeah. Were you with Scott and Chris or no?
Chris.
I remember Chris Teft and Scott Gray did a lot of that shit.
So they would do like championship games.
Okay, so you were
and
doing their job.
I did it with Chris Teft. Like, yeah, okay. I wasn't cool enough to be like championship game.
Right.
I did it with Chris Teft once or twice during championship games.
You remember? Was it
like where I would just do play-by-play and he would do the color. But typically I would do both. Like I would make fun of the people on the court.
Did people ever
remember
get pissed at you?
Ben Jager?
Remember I remember Ben Jager.
We nicknamed him Jump Shot Jager. Yeah, and like it stuck with him. Like people know, like, hey, Jump Shot Jager. Like, awesome, so if you're out there, man,
well,
like
he is. Yeah. I don't know if he sees this, but we're friends on Facebook. Hell yeah, dude.
But he remember we just like Sean McKinney.
Yes,
he was my roommate.
Yeah,
I like always Sean. Make fun of it. Like he would always get like real shiny playing. I'm like, I think Sean like armor-alled before today's game. Like he would always like
Sean. He
was like always like out there shiny. Like he would just sweat the way it covered his body. Like
that's Sean.
Like Sean. Why
I will
shiny,
say this for Sean: there is no one on the planet that can take a joke like Sean McKinney.
Oh, he was my roommate.
And I don't mean that like in a diminishing way. Like you could say whatever, and Sean's just like, like he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like that was Sean. I remember that very well because he was. I feel like he was. He and Bobby Perry went way back. I think was Sean from Illinois. I think Sean
was like, I think he's like Minnesota or something.
Okay, yeah, he was from Minnesota. So maybe it was Rob Nelson he went back with. I don't remember, but I remember one of the people in my circle Sean was pretty close with. So it was Bobby Perry or Rob Nelson, one of the two.
I know Rob.
Yeah.
His sister's Alyssa?
Yeah, Alyssa. Okay. Yeah. Robbie was my roommate. Those were the nights. Those were the nights when it was me. I'm trying to remember. I was on the bottom bunk here, and then Josh Groom was above me, and then across was, I think it was Freddie or Achima, and then Mark Lenentine above him, or was it Wardy? Yeah, now I'm all confused. I don't know who was there, but I remember Josh Groom. I remember Josh. It was Josh, and for sure Rob Nelson that were my roommates on Malone too. I got the same room 2 years in a row.
Were you on the one next to the speaker's room?
Yes.
I had that 1 year.
Did you 212?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was me.
That's
so that
crazy.
was when
I
it
had
was
no
me,
idea.
Matt Thistle, Brian Wilkins, and somebody else.
Huh. That's crazy. I had
Second
no
semester
idea.
they put me into that room.
That's awesome. Yeah. We had a bunch of
because we would break into the speaker's room because air conditioning.
Yeah, air conditioning.
We would sit there on the leather seat. I would be like butt naked on the leather seat.
I'm gonna try to find the. I have a picture.
Stuck. I would be like I remember like eating a bowl of cereal, standing up and being like peeling off. That was like someone's gonna sit in my bare ass was sitting here yesterday.
Jack Schaap's gonna sit where my bare ass was. We had Adam Barlock was the homie on security. I don't know if you remember Adam.
Yeah.
He was only there a year or two, and Adam's a good friend. And Adam had the keys, so Adam would just let us the fuck in.
So,
oh boy.
So
before you do that though, I've got to find it. See if I can find it or send it to you. I'll send it. I've got a picture of me, Adam Barlock, Robbie Nelson, John Warden. I'm name dropping now. I can't remember who. Josh Groom. We're all on the couch in the speaker's room, and someone took a picture. I was so proud of that picture.
Yeah.
John Warden found that as a senior. We were sophomores when that happened. John found it as a senior in some kid's room, like some freshman's room. We found that picture. He's like, "The fuck, give me that! What are you doing with that?"
How did you get that? Like lore being passed around.
Exactly.
So
we were famous.
Oh shit! I forgot what was
going on. Oh, I'm sorry. Speaker's room, Malone 212. Your roommates, you would sit in there and eat and drink because they had AC.
Yeah, I don't remember now.
Oh, sorry, I fucked it all up.
No. So with me, Matt Thistle, and Brian Wilkins, we were still close together. Like, we're still real close. So Matt did my wedding when we were married.
No way! Yeah, that's
like,
awesome,
randomly,
dude.
Just like, hey, can you? So
that's
he was like my minister. We were driving home. We were working at Kmart.
Yep.
And it was like middle of winter. Josh Owens was with us.
No shit.
Jeff Owens' son.
Oh, that Josh Owens.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Jeff Owens' kid. You know? So it was my freshman year. This is when I was a good kid. It was snowing in the wintertime.
Oh my God.
And in St. John, there's this huge statue of Mary.
Yes.
On 41.
Yep.
We pull over. We strip down to our boxers. Climbed the statue.
No shit.
I still have the picture. It's on my phone. I found it recently.
Show it to me. That's amazing.
Me, like Josh took the picture, but it's me, Matt, and Brian. It was like 18-year-olds on the Mary statue
cold.
with like you could see the snow and like we're just in our underwear.
That's epic, dude. I love it.
That's where I was going. So
good.
The keys.
Yes, the keys. Yes.
So Golia Bagley was my, like he was on staff.
He was security too.
But he was on staff.
Yeah.
And I needed to go to the gym, and he was like, I remember like he took the key off of it and was handing it, and he knew my reputation. Yeah. I remember him handing it to me like,
I don't know if I should be doing this.
Just make sure this gets back to me. And he's like, don't make copies. And I was like,
I'm headed to Walmart.
I literally took it, went and did what I did. I got into my car. The key says like, do not copy.
Yeah.
I drove to Walmart. And I was like, yeah, I work for that school. I need a copy. And they're like, okay,
fuck it.
The guy made it for. So I had a key,
dude. What did
like
they
the
let
master
you into?
key? not everything.
Not the girls' dorms, probably.
No. But like. But I didn't really. I'm kind of mad at myself now. I never really did anything with it, but I had the power. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was Frodo with it around my like the ring around my neck, and I was like, at any time I could do this. Like one key to rule them all. And
dude, that's awesome.
But I would like the one thing I would do. I would just go around and unlock doors.
Just for the fun of it.
Just so the guy comes in the next day and is like,
did I leave this?
Why didn't security? Because security had to walk around and like check to make sure doors were locked. I would just unlock them. They'd be
just fucking them all up.
Yeah.
Dude, that's terrific.
But I would get in, but I needed it for like work because I was like, I'm not gonna go find Golia every time.
Every single time you need to go to the gym. Yeah, fuck that.
But yeah, that was fun. The
that's awesome.
Refereeing games was fun.
That had to have been fun.
Like I did softball.
Do you remember? Yeah, softball was a big deal.
I was like an umpire for softball.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I did.
Do you remember one year? Maybe you weren't there, or you weren't, but I remember one year it got heated. The soccer thing.
Mexicans against like the white kids.
Yeah, dude. That was intense. Like that, and that wasn't like 5 or 10. It was like the whole audience, one half against the other. That was all bad. I remember that.
It got real like race bad.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
I remember that.
That's when that one dude went crazy and like started beating up people.
I remember
what was that guy's name?
I don't know. Tall dude, real slick back, right?
No, tall like country boy. Like red. He was like a ginger guy, but he was like 300 pounds.
What?
He ended up getting jumped and he got like he's blind now.
What the fuck?
I don't remember that guy's name. Eric something.
Dude, I don't remember.
Yeah, but he beat up like Josh Cox.
Oh shit!
Like beat him up bad. Like
damn.
Like Josh was just a shit talker.
Yeah.
And, like Josh, I love you to death. You know,
but
he's a shit talker. Like and the dude just like snapped.
Josh would tell you that if he was sitting here. Yeah.
And like the dude snapped, and like another buddy of mine, he like just started beating the crap out. Like
holy shit, man!
Like he was kind of like a peripheral friend.
Yeah.
But then he was mentally not stable.
Damn.
But it turns out he was at like that bar at 3041.
Okay. Yeah.
And was talking shit to some people, and they jumped him and
they fucked him up.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Don't talk shit. To
don't
people.
talk shit. Yeah, I mean it's a good rule to live by.
Yeah. Unless you can. Yeah. Unless you're willing.
Unless you can back it up. Unless you got some jiu-jitsu going.
Yeah, that was a weird story. I remember that. Like
that is crazy. There's a lot of things like that. Like there's you. I mean, not necessarily just there, but I remember we lost Matt Guzzi. That was pretty.
Yeah.
intense.
So Matt, rest his soul.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this because he's no longer with us.
Right.
But Matt was one of the goodest.
Matt's a pure soul.
Like the best. Him and Higgins.
Yes.
Like really took me in. Like they were younger than me.
That's awesome.
And they lived across the hall. They were like best friends.
Yeah, they were.
I think Patrick was my roommate one year, and Guzzi
those
lived
guys,
next door.
Those guys could ball.
Yeah. Those guys lived next door.
Yeah.
Or they lived next door to each other, and I became friends with Matt.
That's
and then
awesome.
he was like, "Why don't you come in the sailor?" Like, I'm not recruiting you. He's like, "Just come and hang out." Like, so you're not like sitting alone on a Saturday. And I was like, "All right,
fuck it."
So like I'd hang out with them. Like I became really close with them.
That's good.
And, like
they're really good people.
It really sucked when Matt passed away
because
it's always the good die young.
I kept. I know I've talked about it before, but I kept a GH Guzzi Hardy. We sat next to each other a lot.
Okay.
And so I graded one of his papers once for English. And it was some kind of like made up story or whatever, and it was the funniest shit. Matt's a funny guy.
Yeah, he's real funny.
The funniest shit I've ever read.
He pulled.
Let's hear it.
He pulled the best prank on me. So I'm sorry if like Matt is the greatest, like nicest dude ever.
He is.
But he pulled the best prank on me. I laughed. I didn't even know who it was pulling the prank.
You just knew it was the best.
It was cell phones were new. They weren't smartphones yet. They were like cell phones were newer.
All flip phones.
They were flip phones, and like you could text and you could call.
Yeah.
So he found out you could call like the TTY service.
He did it to me too, dude.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me yours.
So I wake up in the morning and I get a call and it's like, this is TTY service for, do you have a friend that's deaf? And I was like, I know people who are deaf at the college. I'm like, yeah, sure.
Sure, why not?
They're like, yeah, his name's Matt. I'm thinking Thistle.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, but Matt at this point he's gone to Champion. He's down in Arkansas.
Right.
So I'm like, what in the world?
What happened to Matt? He's deaf now?
Yeah. So I'm like, and like, do you want to accept? And I'm like, yeah. So like, it's a human operator. And she's like, hi.
She's like saying what the person.
Yeah. She's like, yes. He's like, you have a friend who's deaf who wanted to talk to you. I'm like, oh, okay. They're like, do you want to continue? Like, here's. She gives you like the ground rules. Like, here's what happens. Like, you say, over, or you say like whatever the catchphrase is. Like, send now.
Send. Yeah.
And and he would just he's on a computer somewhere, like using AOL, like instant messenger, just typing stuff, and she would have to read it to me. So he is disconnected from it.
Yeah,
but he started saying like the most like vile, funny, like, and it's this poor lady's reading it, and she's giggling like.
Right, she can't giggle.
Yeah, my butt is really itchy, and it's like stuff you do like junior high.
Yes.
And it's stinky. Will you please scratch it for me? Over. And I'm like, I just remember like
what is
in
happening?
tears, like just suppose like just said ha 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 over. And then me trying to like. So he's removed. He doesn't have to actually see or talk to this person, so he can say stuff. I'm like trying to say it back, like, let me smell your finger after you've scratched your itchy butt, and let me see what it tastes like. Over, like, and she's like typing it in. It was like a Saturday morning. I would get woken up.
Yes.
By, like, I was like, that is
that's
fantastic.
awesome.
It's so funny. Like, I wish I would have thought of it. It was so good.
Do you remember who Bill Schutt was? He was a deaf pastor for forever.
Yeah.
Matt did that to me, and I'm not making this up. Matt did it to me too, and they said it's such and such call from Pastor Bill Schutt.
Really?
And I was like, okay. Like the first thing was, I love you so hard. And I was like, I was just completely lost. Like I don't even know Bill. Like what is this shit?
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So he did that.
Matt's giving us laughs to this day. That's a gift.
I wish I would have thought of that one first. But,
Yeah, that's a good one.
But working at FedEx, like
Yeah.
like there was a tight group of guys, like the guys you work with too.
Yeah,
like you'd have like your ministry guys,
Right.
You have like your dorm guys,
Yep.
and then you had like your like
guys you work
your
with,
work
yep.
buddies and stuff like that.
I remember on the way home from Mantino, so I worked there.
I got fired from Sears. I gotta tell you that story.
Yes, tell me.
Okay.
Tell me that. Let's remember that. Mine's quick. I was working there in Mantino. I did the seasonal thing.
Yeah.
So I started in the fall when school started. I got the job. I thought I was going to keep it, and then they fired me right before Christmas. Like literally, I bought my family all Christmas presents, and then I got fired. I'm like, fuck! Now I have no money to spend all on Christmas presents. But there was a train. Did you ever get stopped by a train on your way home?
Yeah.
So every time before we get to the train, I remember we'd go to Circle K, and I'd buy Sobe green tea, and I'd buy Jack Link's beef sticks.
Okay.
But I bought the Sobe green tea because it was in a glass bottle, and anytime we get stopped by a train, I'd throw it at the train. That was like my reward. Like, oh, I hope we get a train. And then do you remember extending work passes?
Oh. It got to the point where I was.
Fuck it, yeah. But I remember calling in. It was me, and then other guys would call in to extend work passes, and then the other guys in the car would fuck with you. Like
hey.
Oh, throw some more money on that stripper.
Yeah. Can you give me another beer, buddy?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
All the time, dude.
And they turn on like music in the back, like turn on the radio, they're like rock stations and stuff. So here's a good like.
That was my only DC trip, was because Tim DePaulis.
Oh, DC, I forgot.
Tim, was it
that.
Tim? Yeah, I bet you were there a lot. Huh?
I got one.
Let's hear it.
Oh man.
It was Tim. Yeah, it was Tim. Turned me, Levi Johnson, Rob Nelson, and Steve Rinka. He turned us all in because I was listening to a Christian band, new song, sing Christmas music. So I was listening to a Christian band sing about baby Jesus,
and they got
and
trouble.
that landed me in DC.
So my thing was, I went to DC probably a dozen times.
Damn.
I never got, besides like,
Did you get a C-file?
I don't know, what's a C-file?
C-file is like, it's so bad, it says SEEFILE, C-file.
Oh.
Like, it's not like, we can't categorize it, you're so wicked.
Yeah, so...
I'm sure you did.
One
if I got
time,
it for
they did a dorm.
music.
They did a dorm search in my room.
Yeah.
I had to come in and like stand there.
What did they find?
So they found I had Dick Van Dyke,
The show?
the TV show,
Yeah.
the black and white TV show.
Yeah.
I bought it at the Walgreens.
Nice.
Like this was like when DVDs were kind of first coming out, and there was
uh-huh.
like 4 episodes on a DVD. Like
Yep,
it wasn't
I
like the whole
remember that.
box set.
Yep.
It was just like
Yeah, I remember
Walgreens,
those.
$2 you can get 4
Right.
episodes. Like, oh,
Fuck
that's
yeah,
cool.
let's
It was
do it.
that and Dragnet, like the 1960s.
Bro, that's old shit.
Yes.
There's not even cursing on
I
that
know.
shit.
I'll get to that. So
That's
I had
a
that.
DVD.
I had those two. They found a disc. It was just a blank copy
Yep.
CD,
Yep.
like those.
I had lots of
the
copies.
Memorex, whatever.
Yeah,
it was.
oh yeah, bro.
And it said the Hulk,
Okay.
because the Hulk, the one with Edward
That
Norton,
was the
had
one that
just
came
come
out.
out,
Then, yeah.
like the real
Mhm.
bad one.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
found
that. Was
So I'm in they come down to DC, and they're like, I show up for my appointment, and I sit down, and they were like, yeah, we found all this stuff in your room. And they're like, this is against the, we're against the rules.
right.
And I was like, what's against the rules about it? Like the Dragnet and the other one were still in their package.
Oh shit.
They hadn't even been open.
Yeah. So
So I'm sitting in there.
what rule did I break?
Yeah, I'm sitting.
even watch these.
I'm on the other side of the table, and it's Bob Hooker, Cassida,
Yeah.
Highfill,
Yep.
Borscht. Like the big.
That's it.
Yeah, the big guns in there, and I'm sitting down, and they're like, "Well, like you have these here, like you have these Dick Van Dyke Show, and Laura Petrie wears pants.
Yeah.
So
really, they said
No.
that?
No.
Okay.
So they're
But
sitting
that's
down
gotta
and they
be
were
their
like,
logic.
and they said, like, well, you have these. I'm like, yeah, they're unopened. I bought them for my mom for Christmas. That's what I told them.
Yeah,
I
genius.
was like, it's Christmas is coming up. My mom likes these old time TV shows.
It's October. Christmas is coming up.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, but you still can't have this in your room. I said, I would rather my bus kids watch that show than to listen to Brian Cassidy's morning devotions.
You did not say that.
I did say that.
And
Mr.
was
Cassidy
Brian in there?
Yeah, he was laughing. He was like, because that's when he would find contraband CDs like gangster rap and play them. Like,
yeah, I remember that.
Shit, like playing
remember he brought the black trash bag out and dumped it. It was full of like porn
Playboys.
CDs.
Yeah, and he would like go through it like in front of us.
And we're like, oh sweet.
Yeah, like boo. I saw boo.
I saw tittage.
Yeah. And like he'd play like gangster rap over like
I remember that. Yes.
like dropping F-bombs,
Yes.
and I'm like so I told him, I said, and I was pretty ballsy at this point, but I was like, I'd much rather. And he was like, I said it kind of jokingly.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd much rather have my bus kids watch that than listen to one of your morning evos. And he was like, Mr. Hooker like laughed. He put his head down and like smiled. And they're like, well, what about this one? And it said the Hulk on it. I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Pop it in.
And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, it's a blank CD. I was like, I just wrote the Hulk on it.
Yeah. And they bought it.
And they were like. So he's like, let me see your laptop. So he put the laptop, put it in, blank CD. I purposely
was it a CD?
It was, no, it was a DVD. It was a DVD. It was just blank. It was blank. I just wrote in Sharpie the Hulk.
Hoping that one of your bus kids would burn it for you, right?
Yeah. Or like, no, I did it
just
for
to fuck with
like,
them.
yes.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
That's
like,
genius.
So they put it in, and they were like, it's not playing. And I'm like, it's a blank disc.
Yeah, because it's
like,
a blank disc.
I just wrote the Hulk on it. And then they were mad about that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Now, like, they knew I was
How
wasting.
dare you trick us?
But I never said that I did it. I was like, I don't know, I found it.
It was just there.
Yeah, there. You can have. But like, so Bob Hooker.
Yeah.
So I had a class with Bob Hooker called counseling, and it was how to counsel people.
No shit.
Like because he was the counselor.
He's the counselor
guy.
dude.
And it
He's
was
the
like
marriage dude and the counselor dude. That was Bob.
And it was like
and just one more lap. That's his stupid fucking book.
Oh, is that
That's his book? Oh
no, remember he had like the sexy book with his wife.
He did
the
have
fire that we weren't allowed to read. Yes, and I remember reading it when my mom bought a copy. And I was like, I remember like coming home and reading it. It was like put your wife's pajamas into the dryer so you could put your wife in warm pajamas. I was like, that's not how you get a girl hot, man. Like,
no,
that's literal.
You went the wrong avenue for this shit.
Like some Barry Manilow and a glass of wine. You're much
that's
better.
Different. I do remember sneaking peeks of that book with my parents. Yes.
That one and Jack Schaap's like Divine Intimacy one where it was like Jesus had sex with us
Jesus.
all.
Yeah, Jesus sex.
Yeah. And then so
this was a turning
I gotta
get that Hooker book and read it on the podcast because that.
Oh, we should. My mom probably has it in her basement.
You can buy it on Amazon. It's there.
The Hooker book is good. So
they changed their name by the way. They were the Hookers, and now it's like the Six Sisters or something.
Like really? They're not the Hooker
Sisters. Which is smart.
Yeah.
I think that was.
I did a Google search, and that's not what I was looking for, man.
I just clicked on videos.
For a
whole different thing.
Pornhub. What is that? So. Yeah.
I found you on Brazzers.
Yeah. Get your hair done. So
different hardware also.
Yeah. So
okay.
Like, this was at a point. Like you're asking me, was there a point where it changed? This was one of them.
Yes. Okay.
So, like just thinking about.
Yeah.
I was at a point where I was like, I need help. Like I'm clearly
this
isn't
not working.
It's not working for me. It's not working for you guys. Like I want to be a good kid.
Yep.
Help me be a good kid. Like what do you need me to do? I'm working my ass off on the bus route.
Right.
I'm doing that. I'm going to work every day. I got a good reputation at my job.
Yeah.
I just don't go to classes. I'm sorry. You're a college. I should. But I'm not, and help me out.
Well,
like, what can I do?
It's confusing.
You're right. It's very confusing. I'm getting directions from everybody.
You're getting pulled every direction.
I'm getting in offense and demerit trouble and all that stuff.
We gotta talk about offense
too. I'm like, I went to his office, like he's got like a secretary, and I was like, hey, I've never done this. I've never done any sort of counseling. Like, can I
get an appointment?
Like, can I get an appointment? Like, yeah, come in at like 2 o'clock. I'm like, okay, cool.
Sweet.
So I like walk away at 2 o'clock. I show up at 2 o'clock. He didn't show up till like 2:20.
What a dick.
Like, and I'm standing there like, oh, you should be here any minute. And I'm like, you literally taught this class earlier today. And this was
you
like,
can't even make it to this
and the
meeting.
shit you talk in your class is like, show up for your meetings on time. Have respect for the person that's showing up. So I'm like, So then I'm like sitting in there, and he leaves the door open, and I'm like trying to like loosely like hey, I don't do this. I don't come and open myself up to people.
Yeah,
I'm not comfortable with this. Help me, but I'm coming to you.
Right.
And then he's like, hello, oh, hey, honey, yeah, lasagna sounds like in the middle of our conversation, like 10 minutes in. lasagna sounds good. Okay. All right, yeah, that sounds good. Okay. And like hangs up the phone.
What
He's
a
like,
prick.
And I'm like, are you
serious
in my heart,
right
in my
now?
head, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I remember thinking like, this is all bullshit.
That was a moment.
It's all
for sure.
bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying
Especially
to come
when
to
you-
Maybe he just didn't think I was serious. I don't know.
But especially when you couple it with earlier that day,
Yes,
or at least
he's
having
teaching
a class on
of,
what
like,
to do.
Yeah, like
and then
telling
you're
these
watching
heart-wrenching
him not
illustrations of like how he gets people to open up to him,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
he's got something
I don't
that
believe
I need.
that. I don't believe they're illustrations
No.
anymore.
And
I
but I remember walking out of there and being like, fuck that.
this shit.
Like this,
Yeah.
I ain't got time
It's
for
bullshit.
that. Like it's all.
Who was? It wasn't. It was. I remember because I worked at True Green. I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but it's just having to meet with people consistently. I went to True Green. I worked at True Green with Jacob Furlow, and Jacob. Do you remember Jake?
Mhm.
I don't know if you went by Jacob or
We
Jake,
lived
you remember?
together
Oh, did you?
after
On Colston?
college. No, after
Oh,
college.
after college. No
Yeah.
shit.
Just for like a year.
That's dope. He would have to have weekly or weekly meetings with Borscht because of whatever he got in
Yeah.
trouble for. He would like, so we would always rib him on Fridays at work because he drove. We didn't drive there with him, but when we got there, he was our route. Did you ever do True Green?
No.
So 5 or 6, not on like a bus route. 5 or 6 guys pile in a car and then
Yeah,
you
you go
have your
knock
areas.
door to door
You got your
and-
streets and you mark their addresses off. And we would always give him shit on Fridays.
That's
Hey, how was
funny.
Mike today? How was your meeting?
I
with
was
Mr.
roommates with
Borscht?
Aaron Kemp one year,
Yes.
and he went
Remember
to.
Aaron.
So Aaron's parents are pretty well off. Like his
Mhm.
mom, I think, like owns McDonald's or something in Louisiana.
I'm not trying to be a dick, but Aaron has that face.
Of like,
Rich kid. He has a
yeah,
rich kid face.
like, and he dressed nice, and he was.
Yep.
Um,
He had a rich kid face and rich kid hair.
I didn't like him until we were roommates, and I
Roommates?
liked him. Then
Good.
I was like, all right, this guy's a cool
He's
dude.
chill.
Yeah.
Always seemed nice.
And he was telling me he went into DC or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like they were, talking about, he had like, what is it, 200 demerits, or 200 demerits was the limit, 100 demerits,
Yeah.
and he had like 250 or something weird like that. And
He
he's
was
like
over the limit.
Yeah, he was over the limit, but he was
Yeah.
over the limit like the whole year. Like,
does
and
that
then they
even
finally
happen?
called him in like 2
Right.
months in for like a meeting, and he's sitting in the meeting, and they were like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I just paid my bill. That's why you're calling me in here. He's like, I just paid my
shit.
last bill.
So now you can boot me.
Now you can boot me.
Damn. And did they?
And they were like, well, he was like, how long have I been over 200 demerits? And they were like, since like October. And he was like,
Then
it's
why are you calling
December.
me? Yeah. Fuck
And he
that.
said, he's like,
because they can expel him in December and he can come back in January.
yeah, and they got all of their money. He made all his
Damn,
payments.
That's fucked
And he
up.
told them, like, he said, you better thank God Almighty that there's a place, your family better thank God that there's a place like Hyles-Anderson that you can work at, because my family runs businesses, and you would never be allowed to be 2 months behind in your shit
Damn.
and get away with it.
yeah, exactly.
He's like, you better thank that God that
Wow.
Hyles-Anderson
This place
gives you a
exists.
paycheck, because you
Holy
would not make
shit.
it anywhere else besides this building. And I was
He's
like,
right.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that's why they
Damn.
work there, because where
Exactly.
else? Because they failed everywhere else.
Exactly. Yeah. They suck at
They
life.
got, everybody's got these little shitty side hustles that they do.
They have to.
Yeah.
They have to. They
And
can't
they're not
make
any good. Like,
No.
That's why they're selling essential oils and Tupperware and
I think the only one that was legit was Phil Pins, and that's only because I worked for him.
like
And
the
he cut,
landscape.
well, yeah, he cut lawns. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I chopped up my finger doing that shit.
Yeah. So
But, dude, it's all so fucking crazy, man. I'm
yeah.
telling
So the
you.
offense system.
Yes, tell me about
So
that.
for those of you who don't know, or you
Yes.
went to school before,
You have
about,
demerits.
around 2000, they came up with non-moral offenses,
So you have demerits.
which are like you're kissing your girlfriend, you stole, you lied, you
Right.
cheated, you
Right.
did something, and then there were like you didn't make your bed, you didn't do your dorm duty,
Right.
You didn't.
That's
you
your
were out
offense.
past your
Curfew.
curfews. Then you got offense. It was like the separate category.
Not as bad. Demerits are like, you really fucked up. Offenses are like, don't do that again.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had this offense. When I first showed up, the offenses were like legit. Like you would get
Okay,
like
so
one
it
or
was-
two if you did something. They were
Gotcha.
like they treated them like demerits, like how they should have been.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
once you had to work them off. You
Yes,
had
I
to give
remember
like an hour of your time was like 10 offenses. And if you got over 100 offenses, they would read your name in chapel.
I remember that.
And they would you would be like, these following men need to stand up, and they'd be like, John Smith, John Doe,
Right,
Pete
right.
Peterson, whoever. Like all these people, like all these men have over 100 offenses,
And then you had to go. You had
and
to
they're like,
leave.
go to the back, and like you had to call off your job that night, and you
That's
had to work your
right.
offenses that day. So my sophomore year, or my second year,
Yeah.
I had several sophomore
A
years.
few.
So my
Second year you were there.
second year, like this dude came in, Krisman his name. He wasn't even there by the time you were there.
Okay.
and he like totally jacked up. Like every day, people were getting like 70, 80 offenses.
What the fuck?
Yes, because he was doing like room checks.
Every
and
day.
your room had to be perfect. And he would walk through, like you'd be at chapel, he would be doing room checks.
Right.
And like he would be like your shoes had to be like under your bed in a certain place.
Shit.
Yes. Like you had to have your shirts like your whites to yellows to blues to dark, like you're hung your shirts up. I remember getting into an argument. I was like, I had like a little like a desk like this, by the door, and I had like my shower. You had like your little shower caddy.
Yeah.
And I had that sitting in there, and he came in, and I'm like, I got 10 offenses today for what? Like I did everything. He's like, your shower thing shouldn't be visible. He's like, at my house, I can't just set that on my thing, and my wife's not gonna like. Where do you want me to put it?
You have a house? How nice!
Yes. I was like,
I live with 5 men.
It's like, where do you want me to put it? Where it's out of sight? I got to get on my hands and knees under my bed every morning to get my shower.
That's not happening, bro.
Like, come on. Like, so then that's when like offenses just became a joke, and they were a joke for like 3 or 4 years. Like, I had like 5,200 offenses at one point.
Oh my god,
like,
are you serious?
I was like, I gotta work like 500 hours to like to get these worked off.
Do you remember when they were doing? I remember going to like Tutton or Labugan or someone, and I was just like did push-ups to get out of them.
Really?
Yes, that was my work. Like, give me 10 push-ups, we'll take off 100 offenses.
No, like every once in a while they'd come up with these deals, like, hey, like when they opened up they had like a thrift store that the church bought.
Yes, I remember that.
And like you could go up there
and
mop up
all their
like it was like the mission or something.
The mission,
random.
all the homeless pedophiles would go work there. Yeah.
And like they were like, oh, we're opening this up. Hey, if you go work there tonight for like 5 hours, we'll take all your offenses. And I'd be like, I just wait for one of those opportunities.
Exactly.
And just be
like, okay, just do that shit. All right, fine.
Yeah. And like one of them was like we had to go pick up sticks from like the Grange Hall, like sticks had fallen from the oak trees.
Because Grange Hall is sacred.
Yeah, and like
because we don't worship men.
Yes.
But we have a whole shrine to
and we have a graven image out front. That's literally
a 10
what the commandments. That's literally a commandment. Like there's a lot of gray area in the Bible.
But that one's pretty cut and fucking dry.
Yeah, that one is like, don't build statues for people.
Let's build one right here. Do you remember Russell had him take his down?
Did he?
Yeah, because he was in Founders Park, and then he's like, after Jack Schaap, he's like, fuck this place, take my shit.
Did he really?
Down.
Good for him.
He didn't say fuck, but like, he was like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with that.
So
like,
I was there when they unveiled the first statue.
Of Jack?
And it didn't look, it was awful.
Oh, that's right. I wasn't there, but I remember hearing about that.
Yes, it was, and it was like, so like the artist did like he took some artist liberties, and like it was a little bit more
artsy.
Yeah, it like wasn't
abstract.
finished. It was more, a little more abstract. They had like brush strokes like on his, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and there was like, what the fuck? That's not Jack Hyles.
Yeah, and it was like didn't look like him, and it was just like, and like it was Vogel's whole thing. Like he had all those bricks.
Yes,
and all the whole thing.
yes. I remember that.
Did your bus route have like a brick?
No, I don't. Maybe we did. I know
like
that
you had to pitch in like $50.
I remember that.
And, like so, like
bullshit.
we would do. I don't think we ever did, but they do like big days, like 97-2,
right,
150 kids, big day or something. They put a brick out. And, like anybody's ever
Some
gonna be like,
that was us.
Yeah, that was taking pictures, selfies with it.
I should do that though. Yeah. That'd be funny. I don't know if we have one. Do you remember the just as we're talking about Vogel and that spot out front? Do you remember the honor guard or whatever it was? Like Vogel had these.
Oh yeah, they play like taps and stuff.
Yeah, like that was a total joke. Their uniforms were always fucked up, and I just talked to I don't know if you know.
And they tried to do like the gun flipping thing, like that, and it'd always be like, oh.
Yeah, they don't know what they were
I remember
doing.
one year they played taps, and the guy like couldn't like make
like
it was like, and like we're standing out there like supposed to be the somber moment,
right?
And
you're
like the guy's playing a drum because their music program is so bad.
Shit, dude.
It was like I had better
in
education
high school, right?
in high school.
Yeah, easily. In not public high school.
No,
Christian high school.
I had a better
That's amazing.
program. Like I didn't have any books. Oh, I think you posted that thing about like if you sign up you get free books or something like that.
Yeah,
I was like, jokes on that. There are no books.
It's the fucking Bible.
There's no like all you have is the Bible. Anyway. There's no books.
Son.
The best commentary on the Bible
is the Bible. Fuck Wilmingtons. Yeah, dude.
So my second sermon that was preached against me.
Oh
was
yes, I want to hear this.
Wendell Evans.
Yes, I'm glad you remembered that.
So I was in Malone, and this the funny part, the ironic part is, we were actually trying to study the Bible, and we were like, hey, is drinking? Where does it say that drinking is wrong? I didn't drink in college.
Proverbs.
I didn't drink till I was
right.
well
No,
out of
it's
college.
not. Is it? Where is it? Wine is a mocker strong.
Yeah, strong drink is raging, and whoso is taken by is not wise. I think it's like Timothy.
Yeah.
Or, I don't think it's Proverbs.
Okay.
There's some stuff in Proverbs.
There is something in Proverbs about when it mixes,
but it also
when it turns itself in the cup.
Yes,
That's Proverbs.
but so does Pepsi.
Yeah.
So,
No, it does.
But there was, we were trying to establish.
It's Jesus. It's new wine. That's the big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were breaking down when it used wine in the New Testament. We had the Strong's Concordance out.
Hell yeah.
Like it was like me and like all my roommates, like actually like, hey, what does the Bible say? Like this is what they're teaching us to do.
So
and we're using these tools and like these commentaries and what's the Strong Concordance will tell you what the Greek word meant.
Yep.
And like it'll tell you the specific Greek word. Like there's 17 words for drink and 18 for love. Like the agape love
but
and
this specific passage, what is it?
What was it? And we were doing the marriage, the wedding that Jesus turned the water into wine.
Yeah.
And every time the word was used, the Greek word was a fermented beverage. Every time.
Yeah.
It would call it wine, and they turned the wine. And then they even make the comment in the Bible how the people drinking it were like, oh wow, they saved the good wine for later.
Yes,
Usually you drink the shit stuff later because you take the good stuff and you get a little tipsy.
Drunk and you
just drink whatever at that point.
Right, you're fine.
Everything tastes fine.
It's great.
I'm drinking pool water and was like, oh
that's delicious.
What percentage is on that, I'm like, it's got a little chlorine kick to it,
I'll take it, though.
But, like, it actually makes that comment in the Bible, and I was like, yes, Jesus turned the water into a fermented... It doesn't say Jesus drank it.
No.
But he gave it to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
The word... They don't use the word wine at the Last Supper. They use fruit of the vine.
Okay.
And fruit of the vine seems more like it's grape juice than it is wine.
Yeah. That sounds right.
But we were talking about this and having a discussion and like...
Trying to figure this shit out.
And then like the next 2 days later, Wendell Evans was preaching and brought that up. Like I heard people are in the dorm rooms trying to undercut. He's like, Jesus was not a bartender. He did not serve wine.
Oh, shit.
We were like...
So someone
turned us in. And I was like, all we were doing was...
We're just trying to figure shit out.
Study the Bible. Like...
We're at Bible college studying the Bible.
What does the Bible say? And that's where I was like, okay, I'm going to start... studying more of this because it was very much so my whole thing was, and I use this to this day, like this philosophy is I use it at work. I use some of the philosophies that I learned and I use it at work. So we do fundamentalism is wrong because it takes, so this is sin. Okay, fundamentalism, and we'll build a fence around it. And we'll say now this fence that's around it will protect you. Even if you backslide, you will never sin.
You still won't get to
So
this.
having sex with your girlfriend before marriage is sin.
But
if you never touch her hands, you'll never have sex with her.
Exactly, yeah.
So we'll set that as the standard. Logically, that makes sense.
It does.
As long as I never touch her hand, then I'll never penetrate.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's not happening.
Right. Like there's a progression of how things work. But then over years, this becomes the sin.
Yeah.
Now touching your girlfriend becomes the sin.
Yeah.
Not the sin we were building up.
Right.
So then that becomes the sin. Now we're going to build another fence around it.
Right.
And be like, now your girlfriend should not be wearing, she should be wearing pantyhose, so not to entice you to touch her hand.
Right.
She should be wearing a long skirt, not to entice you to look at her.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the standard. But then over time, that becomes the sin.
Right. And so it just
the
keeps
sin
widening.
The sin grows.
Yeah.
And what your art, so I like why I use it at work.
I like that comparison.
Why we use it at work. So I work in a warehouse. I work for Pepsi.
Okay.
We have a warehouse, and we have a rack like that's 3-4 high of full product.
Kmart.
And I don't want someone to back in their high-low and knock that rack, so we build a barrier in front of it.
Yeah.
Well, now it makes the workspace smaller because now I not only do I not want them to hit the rack, I don't want them to hit that barrier either.
Right. Exactly.
But are we going to write people up and fire people for hitting the barrier?
No.
Like the barrier's there to protect that.
Right. The barrier's there for you to hit it.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to. Yeah. So should we build another safety thing in front of that barrier?
Another one, or like you said, like make them get in trouble for hitting the barrier.
And now we're making their work area smaller and more confined, and their job is now harder because of our safety. Because of our. And that's the
excellent,
same
dude.
philosophy.
No, that is a great example. Like you said, it just keeps widening.
Right.
You can't.
And then
it gets out of control.
We get more constricted. So then it's like
pressure.
Right.
It's pressure.
Like you can't go to that restaurant. You can't go to Buffalo Wild Wings because it says bar.
I got pulled in my.
But I can go to Chili's next door.
I got pulled in my freshman year for I think it was Chili's or Applebee's.
Yeah.
Because it had bar or grill or whatever.
Right.
And John Tutton pulled me in and called my mom about it and everything.
Right.
But I heard a quote and I won't say it right. And I've actually never listened to a Black Flag song in my life, but I love Henry Rollins, and he has amazing spoken word. So Henry says something about the biggest problem that humanity has, or how to make people happy, or whatever it is, just put less people under pressure.
Right.
And it
just
really
let
boils,
them thrive and let them. Yeah.
So many things in life, I think, boil down to.
I don't think it's no pressure. Sometimes you need the pressure to get. You need that deadline to be.
Yeah,
but you don't need to be constant deadlines and constant.
But the more pressure. But there are certainly levels of pressure that are unnecessary, and that's what you're talking about here. This is the thing, and then you come out here, and then here, and then further, and then like you said, that is outward pressure, but now we have inward pressure,
and then,
to be a certain way.
But then you study the Bible, and when Jesus came in the New Testament,
he let all that shit off.
Yes, and he was literally he was upset at the religious establishment who set up all the pressure. Like he healed the blind guy, and they were like, "Oh my God, you did it on a Sunday?" And he was like, "No, I healed a blind guy."
End of story. Doesn't matter when I fucking
even the blind guy came back and he's like, all I know is I was blind and now I see.
So
like, you guys do what you want. I'm gonna go on my happy way.
I couldn't see a calendar to know it was fucking Sunday.
Right.
So.
Like they would pick on him for he would walk by and they picked the fruit off the tree and they ate it and they're like, oh, they did work on a Sunday. Jesus is like, no, you missed the boat, man. Yeah. You guys missed the boat. Like, you guys have all these rituals and all these things you put in place. You wear the script on your head because it's always supposed to be top of mind. Like all these weird literal translation of this Old Testament. Whether you believe Old Testament news, I don't care.
Fuck it.
But that's what he came. If you believe the life of Christ and you believe that the Christian story,
then you gotta
Christ
go
came up to
you gotta go with Jesus' interpretation.
They were like, and the whole turn the other cheek, eye for an eye. He's like, no, I don't want you to hurt each other. That's not what that was written for.
Not the point.
You guys missed it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the whole where's the man? He who is out without sin cast the first stone.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Are you perfect? Then you can, does that mean we shouldn't ever judge it? No, that's not what it means. But but we don't need to kill people and set up these weird, strict rules. You dragged this lady out of her house. You knew what was happening. You didn't, you know what I mean? You didn't care that it was happening. You just want to embarrass this person. You want to make an example.
It's about your rules.
It's about your power structure.
Yeah,
because it puts you in charge.
Dude, 100%. You're right.
That's
what matters to them, and that's what matters to so many people in that movement still. It's just, it has moved so far from right and wrong. The legalism has taken over, and it's not just like you fucked up or you did a great job. It's, you missed this one little thing. This isn't the Air Force. This isn't the Army. Like, your shoes don't have to be a certain way. This is real life. Let people fucking live it. That's it.
Right.
Just let them live it. And I've said it before on the podcast, and I'll say this for as long as I, believe this way, which I think will be the rest of my life. If you have a religion or a God that you believe in, man, that's great.
Yeah.
Do it. If it's bringing benefit to your life, go for it. If you're shoving it down other people's throats, if it's toxic, if it's negative, man, keep that shit away from me.
If it's causing you to spend less time with your family or sacrifice your family, the family was established 3,000, 4,000, depending what you believe. 5,000 years before a church was ever established.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason the church is there for the family, not the other way around.
Dude, that's so good, man. No, really, and it's not your alcohol talking. Yeah. That's so good. You're right.
Really,
that one should complement the other, but we've been taught that it's God first,
right?
Then and this is more underlying than taught, but God first, then the man of God.
Yes.
Then
whatever you're doing to hinder the man of God in order to what he's doing.
Exactly. Because God and the man of God are so. There's not even. You would definitely say God is higher than the man of God, but you don't have a tangible version of God to hold on to. You have the man of God.
Right.
So he ends up right up there with God.
Right.
And then you get to your family.
Right.
And that's how people like Chris Szydlowski and Jack Schaap get away with what they and Victor
and that's
Montero,
how they groom the children and groom the whoever
from birth
into But I'm saying that's how they groom them is they tell them, they convince they've been taught their whole lives. Those children have been taught their whole lives that having sex is wrong.
Right.
But now their man of God is telling them it's okay, and they're like, oh, but he's the manifestation of that. He must be right.
But you have to also add into the mix that they don't know. In many cases, they don't know what sex is.
Right.
We aren't taught that.
Right.
Inside of those circles, there's no birds and bees that you just talked about. Right. Bob Hooker's book. You're not even allowed to read that until
didn't even talk about actual
exactly. 5 Love Languages is one that they recommend you to read, but not until a week or two or a month.
Did you read that?
I did. I love that book.
Is it just what's it called?
5 Love Languages. It's Gary Chapman. He has several different books. So he has 5 Love Languages.
Hyles-Anderson?
Hyles-Anderson pushed it, even though it had NSV and shit in it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they pushed it. But 5 Love Languages, I recommend. I'll say it
it's
right now.
It's physical, language.
It does get to that.
That's the 5 different kind of things.
Yeah, there's acts of kindness. There's words of affirmation, which is mine. There's physical touch. I can't remember them all.
Okay,
I'll post them up here, but really, it's an incredible book. But it does go over having sex, being physical with your partner, and that's why they say you got to wait till like a month or two before your marriage, before you get married to read it.
But does it give you the birds and the bees? Like this is how it works?
Not even.
I don't think I ever had, like, obviously I was a teenager, I had the internet, and I've seen stuff, I understand the mechanics
how
of
it works.
But my first experience, everything just kind of flowed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like,
oh no.
Like, you hear the stories where, like, the kid calls the pastor, like, what do I do?
Dude,
like,
that's
come on.
That's
like,
bullshit.
There's no way,
those are
like,
bullshit stories.
Humans are animals.
Yeah.
Like, there's
we'll
an
figure
instinct
it out.
We'll
figure it out. It's real basic when you get to the point.
Yeah, and you can go on from there. Like, you get the basics, and then you can
master other things.
Then you can jazz it and just go,
Jazz it. That's the quote of the day right there, is jazz it. I want to get to one more thing. I don't know how much more time we have, but something that I've talked about with, I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast, but I've talked about with John Warden and John Bannister and a few other people here and there, is this idea, we're so engrossed in it, whether you are in the IFB from birth or come into it like you did a little bit later on, or even your introduction is at college, whether it's Hyles-Anderson.
That was my
Grace
first
Baptist.
real IFB.
Exactly.
Was college. Like my church was kind of.
Yeah,
we had like Bob Jones.
Right.
Some Pensacola.
A little more lenient.
Yeah, a little bit more
accepting.
A little bit more accepting, but actually like
Practical.
those colleges actually teach Bible and Scripture,
right?
And
they're accredited in most cases.
Pensacola's not.
No, they're not.
No.
Damn it. I think
Bob Jones is very accredited. Maranatha's accredited.
Yep.
Like schools like that.
Mm-hmm. Legit schools.
Liberty University.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I want to get into, and we'll keep it brief, but I have, and I'm not mad at you guys, and I don't think many of them will see this, but I've got plenty of friends that are still in the IFB, and I don't think they feel trapped. I think they feel like that's where they're supposed to be. That's where they belong.
Right.
And far be it for me to try to pull anyone out. I can't do that.
Right.
I can help you if you decide you want to get out.
I can show you that there's a path.
Exactly. But I want to talk about that just briefly, the fact that while me and you aren't sitting in a high-rise right now filming this, while we're not driving, billion-dollar cars, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
And we're not here to say, like, oh, well, you're in the ministry, so you're doing terrible. We're doing so much better. It's definitely not that. But I just want to speak to the fact that even though you may not have an accredited degree, even though you may feel like you don't have a marketable skill, you definitely do.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I want to know what you want to say.
On that point, the things you will learn from Hyles-Anderson is you will work, right now, if you went to school there and you were a decent student, you will work harder than every one of your peers.
Absolutely.
I can outwork and do more. Not physical labor. Not like I'm not going to do more push-ups. Or, but I'm saying from sun up to sundown,
dedication.
You got the hustle.
Yep.
You got the, you know what I mean? You have that. Like, I just, like...
It's just there.
And that's not... Anywhere you go in any workforce, you'll find if you're a halfway decent worker, and I'm not patting myself in the back.
Yeah.
I'm not the best employee.
But you're doing good.
But I do well, and I've been promoted. I'm doing pretty well.
You work for a Fortune 500
Fortune
company.
100 company.
Yeah,
and
I'm
in operations leadership of that.
Damn.
For two different ones.
Hell yeah.
I was with FedEx, now with Pepsi.
Damn. That's terrific.
You will learn people skills. 90% of my job is talking to people, and in that conversation, learning how people want to be talked to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So everybody talks. Every business talks communication. Yep. Everybody feels like they communicate.
Yep.
Nobody feels like they're being communicated to.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like your boss, to your underlings, or you to your be like, no, I sent an email, I communicated. But if somebody's not receiving the information,
if it's not coming through,
then it's not communication.
Yep. Absolutely.
Communication has to have both parties agreeing on the
whatever
subject is being talked,
exactly.
or emailed, or text.
That's communication. Communication isn't just I sent the thing, see ya.
Right.
Yeah.
I I put it in your box, boss.
Right.
And they were like, I haven't looked at my box, for
a month.
You will learn communication techniques from your bus ministry, from church, from school leadership, from
You'll learn
from preaching a night bus. Like you'll learn communication skills. You learn what works. You learn what doesn't. You learn. We, like you said, we did not know each other hardly at all.
Nope.
We talked for 2 hours before this camera was on, and
we've been
2.5 hours since it's been on.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. So it's gonna be a long.
That's
one.
awesome.
Sorry.
Fuck it.
But you learn to. If this comes across and you didn't understand any of my concepts or anything I talked about, I guess this will fall flat.
No. It all made sense.
But you'll learn that ability to talk to people.
Yeah.
Ironically, to not be judgmental.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Well, I think, and I've learned this more working in business or in the regular workforce. You see a lot of things done the wrong way, and you can learn from that as well. And good Lord, if you don't see things done the wrong way at hyles-anderson, then you're not going to see them done wrong.
You'll learn a lot of people. So, like, I tell people, I don't really tell people, but I was in a cult for 10 years at least.
Yeah.
But you will learn. I've come across former Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
Former people who were raised strict Muslim.
Yep.
People who were raised strict Catholic. Mm-hmm. People who were raised Mormon.
Yeah.
People who were raised Scientologists.
Yep.
And I have conversations with those people, and you can they open up, and you're like,
vibe. Yeah.
Oh, your family got shunned because your mom did this. Like, I know how that. Yeah, we used to do that too.
Yeah.
And you will find deeper connections with people.
Absolutely.
Your peers, your people you work with, because you have. I mean, Jack Hyles said it. I don't even think he coined it, but he's actually like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Like, he would say, be good to everybody because everybody's having a tough time. And it's true. Like, you'll see, we're not millionaires, but I've got hardship in my life. You've got,
I've got plenty,
stuff that goes on that I don't like to talk, but you'll find you can have deep conversations and meaningful conversations. Mm-hmm. I'm a cigar smoker. I'll sit at the cigar bar and talk. I know so much about religions from going to this school, and I just talk to people. They're like, wow, that's, this is what we were taught.
Interesting,
And you will find deeper connections because it's not, if you don't come at them as confrontational soul winning, you come at them as like, here's what I was taught.
Let's have a conversation.
I don't know.
Yeah.
What happens when we die? I have no idea. Neither do you. Neither do I. Nobody has.
But it's fun to talk about that.
But it's like, let's try to figure this out. Hey, what do you guys think?
This
is what we think. This is what
This is what I was taught. It's crazy. Do you know who Bill Burr is? Have you heard of
the singer?
Yes.
There you
go.
What was his song? Was it?
I don't know.
He was on the Hall of Friends of.
Was he really?
Yeah. Remember he was. So one year they had a dress-up competition, and I was gonna go as one of Jack Hyles' friends. I was gonna have like a card and like have a whole script up and put like my face in there.
Oh my god! Why didn't you do it?
It never happened.
You would have got
that was
trouble.
my idea. I probably would have.
You would absolutely got in trouble. Speaking of.
All right. So they did the Halloween costume.
Yeah.
One guy went up in a KKK outfit and said he was the Holy Ghost. I am not making this up. I am not.
Oh no!
And you want to talk about like stuff that is at that school that you want to talk about is
it's fucked up.
Like they do not want to get released. Like
that's definitely one of them. Damn, dude.
That is messed up.
That's fucked up.
And, like this was like in chapel. Like damn. Like they had a dress up.
I just can't. I mean, I know there's more stuff than that, but I just can't even. I don't even know where to start. That's bizarre, crazy. Yeah. So much stuff.
There's a lot of racism there.
Well, I mean, and there's no excuse, but it's the Midwest. I lived in Knox, Indiana, just an hour or so away from there. There would be KKK rallies in my town when I was a kid.
I was at pastor school one year, and I was a guy who was he was a youth, or he was like a assistant pastor at my church. He was a Hyles graduate. Mm-hmm. Was the assistant pastor for like 2 years, and then started his own church. And I was talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, you dating anybody yet?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Just so you know, stay away from the Mexicans because if you're at a church like mine, they're not gonna my people won't accept you." And I was like, "Damn." Like, are you serious? I was offended.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not. What?
Like, where did they even? That's left field, man. What the fuck?
But it was like, that's your advice is not to date in my race.
Right. Thanks, bro. You know Ray Young's a huge racist, right?
Oh, I'm sure.
No, really? He, I've had friends that I had no reason to disbelieve them talking about he saw college students, a black girl arm in arm with a white girl, and he was like driving a bus and talking to someone and just saying like, I hate seeing them with our people like that.
Really?
Like that kind of shit. He said, okay, so this is something I've never said before.
All right, yeah. Full disclosure.
He sent and to be fair, this was not, my dad wasn't like, oh, this is funny or this is cool, but he knew my dad. My dad was, again, a division leader, and when Ray Young ran the bus ministry. So he and my dad were close at one time. And he would come speak at our church from time to time. He sent my dad a business card-sized card, and on the front, it said, I contributed like $1 or $10 in your name to the NAACP. When you flip it over, it says you're now an honorary
N-word.
N-word. And he sent that to my dad because he thought it was a funny joke. That's Ray Young. That is.
So we would talk
H
Sunday school.
President, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he the president?
Yeah, I don't know. What's the code?
That is a high-ranking staff member
who's
at Hyles-Anderson College.
Extremely racist.
Huge racist. Look, he's from Louisiana. Okay, I understand that, but it's not. You don't get to be racist because of where you're from or for any other reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the H Day we've talked about. The H Day is.
But I remember
awful.
sitting in. It was like we broke up in divisions.
Okay.
And it was Saturday morning, 7 o'clock or something. We're tired, and it was Settlemeyer. I don't even mean this. This was the culture because I didn't stand up and vocally disagree with it. So I'm not.
Right.
I'm not saying I was not part of the culture. I very much was.
We were, yeah, absolutely, same.
But they were like, all right, we got to do Black Sunday School this week. I guess we're gonna go into using racial terms. Damn. And one guy in the back stood up and threw a chair.
Oh shit!
Threw it, and there's 20 of us in there.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not gonna stand in here and let you use stood up to him. It was like, we'll not let you use that language. These are children of God.
Yeah, these are other human beings.
And we're all sitting there, and they were like, he's like, well, you can leave the room then. And then we all just sat it was just, we were willingly contributing to the problem.
That's crazy.
I don't know if I should talk about that.
No, it's out there. No, but that's, I think, yes, it's a hard, no one really wants to hear or talk about that often.
But it's deep in the culture, and to say that it's not is an absolute lie.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's something that needs to be brought to light. There's a lot of shit coming to light right now, but that light needs to be shined on that as well. There are so many levels of inhumane, just process isn't the right word, but just inhumane mindsets that happen when the same thing with this sin, you become so, everything else becomes so minimal. Human life, just a normal life, the normal everyday shit becomes abstract and becomes abnormal because you're so focused on not sinning and making the man of God happy and living by this code that no one's supposed to live by.
Right.
Living by this code that's just, it's impossible.
Right. I remember Ray Young would always talk about how he woke up at 3 in the morning every morning.
You remember the alarm clock and he wouldn't put it, he'd put it
under his dresser or something? And then his wife would get mad. Turn that thing off! You'd always
what I love about those stories from those guys, those crazy stories, they're probably not even fucking true.
No.
I don't think they're even true.
And
not that I don't think these guys were fully committed.
I believe it is true.
Really?
No. And I think that's even more messed up.
That's even worse.
I remember talking to his daughter. His daughter was on my bus ride.
Yeah. Lacey?
And I was like, what time does your dad go to bed? And she was like, I don't know, 8 o'clock. I'm like, he gets 8 hours of sleep every night.
Exactly.
What's waking up at 3 doesn't mean anything.
When you still
but
got
when
8
you
hours.
preach that to people who I was up till 2 a.m. last night.
You were up till 3 already.
Yeah,
and
then you're
to go to sleep.
Right, and then you're saying to be right with God.
You have to get up just like Ray Young does.
Wake up and it's you can't tell that to impressionable kids and not expect people to get hurt.
Exactly.
Not expect people to be clinically depressed. Not expect people to get sick. You know how many people got seriously sick, lifelong chronic
depressed.
But chronic issues, stomach issues, physical, because you're working off of 2-3 hours of sleep day in, day out, dude.
Did you? You probably haven't seen it. I'm going to put you on the spot. I have an episode of this. It's not this format, but I have an episode where I have a friend that does Ray Young impressions.
Oh, you the phone?
Dude.
I've seen those.
But those aren't, it's funny because those aren't really that far off from the kind of shit that guy would say. And not just him, there's so many people that would say, I think it was John Bannister told me, John tells me that Daryl Moore has some story about carrying a piano on his back up a ladder. What? And we believed it. No, really a piano. What the fuck? You would have broken your back and the ladder.
Yeah, you could not.
But they told these stories.
Bane?
Exactly. I was born in the piano.
I was born.
Yeah.
I was made by it.
Turn that activities up, bro.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we got to get to.
Okay,
staff member impersonations.
Let's do it.
Were you?
I wasn't good.
So
I wasn't. I'm trying to. Okay, here's the closest thing
I could never get Schaap. I could never get Schaap.
Just scream.
No. So my Schaap impersonation was.
Let's see it.
Him shaking hands.
Okay.
In the alley. Remember how he would like...
Yeah.
So like he'd do the sermon.
He stole that from Jack Hyles.
Yeah, but he would shake hands, but he would always say like... So you'd be in the, you know, he'd be like,
right.
"Hello, hi, hey, oh, hey there, little buddy," and you'd like tussle a kid's hair. "Hello, hi, oh." Like that would be the.
That's right.
That was my only like.
That's
Jack
good though.
Schaap
That's
like
fun.
it was like the airline stewardess saying bye-bye to people.
Yes,
That's what it was.
bye-bye.
But it was like he'd come shake hands. "Hello, hi, hello, hello, oh, hey there, little guy. Oh, that's your dad right there. Make sure you listen to him." Like he'd always like give like the 2 words of advice to like everybody to.
Yeah, exactly. What is it? What is it, Abe Lincoln? Like, whatever you are, be a good one. Like, what are we just like handing out quotes now?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
And
the only one I never really, I don't think I ever really had one. But the one that it was one of those where you pulled a joke off a chapel sermon.
Okay.
So, Bob Hooker did one. He was in a tree stand, and he had a buddy that like kept trying to do sign language, tell him look for a deer.
Right.
And he said that in that sermon like 100 times. And it just got to the point where, like, everyone in the audience was like, dude, will you fucking stop saying that shit? So I repurposed it, and this is not to be mean to any of my friends of an alternative lifestyle. Right. I love you, my gay friends. But I went through the dorms the rest of the day. Look for a queer.
That's like
I was super proud of myself.
So what's the Big and Rich song? Save a Horse, Ride a
Cowboy.
Cowboy.
Yeah, that was big when we were in college.
Yeah, so Jason Williams turned that into Save a Soul, Ride a Night Bus.
No shit.
Save a Soul, Ride a Night Bus.
How did I not
that
hear that?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
That's a good one. Yeah,
that's poetic.
Yeah.
All right.
Like the jokes we made was like the cattle shoot.
Yes.
So we'd always be like, "Man, it smells like cattle shooting here, man." Like, can you just step in some cattle shoot? Like, just stupid stuff. Like,
that's awesome, though.
Yeah. So like some cattle shoot their pants in here.
And really, like anyone that's watching this that hasn't been on that campus is gonna be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Yeah. What was the purpose of that thing, anyways?
It was the cover. It was the women.
Covered walkway.
It was to keep warm from the.
Yeah. But then there was a hole in the fucking middle of it. It's pointless.
Well, I did the White House, Mr. White House.
Oh, you gotta do Daryl for us.
So like he'd be in class and somebody be talking.
I got in trouble. I was definitely sitting in the back talking.
I need some water.
Use mine.
Here. But he'd be like, I need a man of God in the back to tell me who was talking back there. And there's somebody. I just need one man of God. One man of God to tell me who was talking. Like, but it's like, he put you on the spot. Like, so am I not a man of God
if I don't turn
rat my
in?
friend out? Like, I just need one man of God. It's so funny.
That's terrific.
And then Mr. Borsch,
dude,
you have what was it? Like,
you're so
you
weird.
have 1 minute to get signed in to chapel today. Like, he had like a weird, like the end of his sentences, it would like jump,
trail.
like it would be monotone, but then like the last 2 words would be like, like, if you have not signed in yet, like now is the time to come to the front and sign in. Yeah. Did you ever have any people like sign you in for classes or chapel?
No, I never was that cool. No.
Did you ever?
Oh, but Borsch, hang on. Remember that.
Yeah.
Try to remember that. I do remember, the one thing I remember about Mike was that he was the fucking tallest guy ever.
He was like
Lurch.
Was super. He was like Lurch from like Adam's
yeah,
family.
exactly.
Like,
but even though he was the tallest guy on the platform every time, he was also the shortest guy when he sat down. That guy
like he slumped.
And
like his suit would come
shoulders
up.
would like over.
And they did the weird like.
Dude. Yes, that was Borsch.
Did you ever? So my other tricks were like, if my hair was long and they did hair check.
What would you do?
Come in late. Come in 5 minutes late.
Yes. You know what?
And then you just sign in, and like instead of getting the 10 demerits for having hair, I just get like 3 offenses for being late to chapel.
That's smart. Joe Brown. Do you remember what Joe Brown would do? Joe would get in there because they clear everyone out of the chapel for hair check.
Right.
Because there would be a class in there, or whatever. No, Joe would hold the door.
Oh.
He would hold the door for subtle people. Like, let me get that, and then he'd hold it for everyone that got their hair checked. Just standing there, because Joe's hair was always.
Yeah.
Joe was like Guy Penrod. Like that guy's hair was always long.
Guy Penrod. Nice tie.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like Joe's hair was always super long, and he was Joe Brown. He could have gotten away with it probably, but that was his trick. Sorry about that, guys. So I don't have a crazy high tech ton of gigabyte setup here, and so we ran out of time. So it cut us off in the middle of one of Mike's more epic jokes. Yeah. So I apologize.
I don't know where it was.
I don't either.
It's fine. It's probably best that it wasn't on there.
Maybe. Yeah. But while we have a moment, I cleared up some space here on the device, and so while we have a moment, I just want to say thank you so much, dude. Like
this is my therapy. Seriously, like talk to people.
It's very therapeutic.
It's very good. Like talking to people who went through the same situations.
Absolutely.
I enjoy this, especially someone that we weren't real close.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
That we talked to, and realized like we all went to the same place, but
we have a lot of similar circumstances. Yes. Whether we had them together or whether they were the same or different anomalies inside them, is still very similar. So, very therapeutic. I like that. That's a great note. And again, I want to remind you guys one of the points that me and Mike were on before we got sidetracked with his incredible impressions was that...
If that even made it. Yeah.
No, it did. A couple of them did. For sure we got Daryl Whitehouse, which was the big one for me. But one of the big things that I love about having you on is and other people that are not working in a ministry but have found work, it's encouraging to me. And I want to encourage other people just because... use the skills that you learn, because you learn skills there. And it's not just about, like, yes, I get it, I'll bitch all day about having an unaccredited degree, that pisses me off. But you learn things that you can use, and if you feel like you're stuck or trapped in a relationship or in a ministry, you are not. And that's not me trying to be demeaning about that. That's just me telling you there's a way out. I found it. Mike found it. A lot of other people have found it. We're not better because we found it. We're not cooler because we found it. But I
feel lucky.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Like,
and it's probably not luck, but that's how I feel.
But that's the relief, right? That kind of like, oh, I'm okay, or I'm gonna be okay.
Let me get deep on you.
Yeah,
so the Book of Job.
Okay, yeah.
When the house collapsed and the tornado comes and it kills everybody, I feel like the guy that's like, everybody just died. I alone escaped to tell you or whatever. Like, that's how I feel. It's like, I'm glad I got out of it, but it's nice meeting the other people who did survive.
That also made it out.
Like,
and
aren't messed up. I'm still...
No one's perfect.
I have nightmares of hyles-andersons. I'm not joking. To like, I wake up to...
Do you get stuck on campus? That's what most people say.
No, my fear, or is the... I overslept my classes, and I signed up for... I signed up for 20 credits.
Yep.
It's what happened to me. I signed up for 20 credits.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to end up with 3.
Right.
And I'm like, because every time you miss class, it was like 3 points off your grade.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
So stop going.
If you miss like 4 classes, like I'm getting the best I can do is like an 85.
Right. Why keep going? Yeah. And if you miss enough, then you're flunking. Right. So what's the point?
Like I'm not over absence, but I'm not going to pass it anyway. Why not try?
Fuck it.
That's like it's like an anxiety of.
You wake up to that.
Yeah,
dude,
I wake up with like weird hyles-anderson nightmares.
A lot of us do.
And it's not a memory; it's a feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Because you're in that moment right there.
Yeah, it's an anxiety of like I wake up and like I don't know exactly what I was dreaming about, but I know what I was dreaming about.
Yeah,
like that's
man, that sucks. That sucks. Okay, so aside from that though, but that's a real part, and it's a real thing that I've heard a lot of us have talked about. We've had the waking up to those fucking scary feelings. I get it. You're right. Absolutely. But anyways, all that to say, if you've had those thoughts of can I make it on the outside? I've said it before, it'll be a bumpy road. It's a tough departure. But once you get out and you can see like, okay, you know what? I can make it in the workplace.
Yeah.
I can do well. I can excel. I can be a normal person around other normal people. You'll get there, and you can do it.
Yes.
And you can make it.
One more step from that, like we were talking earlier, if you are in the ministry and you are homosexual, you are gay, you have,
But and it's not just those. It's just you're not the norm that you were told you had to be. I'm not diminishing those. Whatever it is.
Seek help outside of the church.
Yeah.
From somewhere before you hurt yourself or somebody else. I think is
very wise. Yeah.
If you're depressed, like there's a suicide rate in IFB that's high.
I'm sure.
There's a lot of young kids, old people, like suicide on the run. If you're feeling those feelings, seek help from somebody outside the church. Get an outside opinion.
Absolutely.
And I know we're kind of like talk about don't go outside. They all say don't.
Right.
Find a doctor, a therapist, somebody.
Find someone that's certified. Look, and it's something I've said before. If it's important to you that they're religious or that they're Christian, that's fine. It's okay that they're Christian. Just make sure they have a legitimate degree and they know what in the world they're doing.
And then your confidentiality is still... Because if you go to inside the church, it will not be confidential.
No, it won't. But it'll stay inside the church, but it won't be confidential.
Right.
100%. Very good point.
But seek help. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt somebody else off of your feelings. I think is the biggest message.
Absolutely. Mike, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for making the time. Dude, absolutely. Well,
this was a blast.
So good. I'm glad. I'm super glad. Like, I had a fucking blast. Yeah. It was great talking to you, great catching up, even though I don't know how I could say that right because we didn't know each other before. But thanks so much for taking the time. Everyone that stuck with us for this almost 3-hour episode, once again, thank you guys so much through all the bumps here that got us to the end of this podcast. Thank you for sticking around.
And if you have questions, if you have comments, if there's something that's eating you up, send us a message. We want to help. We want to know how we can help. Thank you all for your support of Not Your Mother's Podcast.